to the 10 EMA. It's been quite respectful of that 10 moving average on the 5, whether you're looking from the initial breakout at 7 a.m. or to the current price action now at 2 o'clock. CRVS is him. It's taking out highs as we speak. It's up 143%. It's likely on its way to $20. And here it is again, 83. It's about to hit 20. It's about to go 150% on the day. CRVS, great breakout, but trade it carefully as always, guys, and look to that 10 EMA. It doesn't happen by accident over and over and over and over and over again, okay? So send them off, Ob.
All right, man, it's been a great, great morning session, great midday session as well. Hopefully you guys have managed your risk well and traded well as well. I wish you guys good luck for the rest of the session.
Likewise.
Holiday shortened week. We only have 4 days.
Yes,
Today's almost done as well. So good luck. We'll see you guys tomorrow, right at 11. Take it easy, guys.
Yeah. Days on. Yes, sir. Welcome everybody. We're back, and I am not muted. I had to double check there.
Okay.
I mean, look, man, it's almost like a Monday. I know it's Tuesday, but I mean, it might as well be a Monday up in here. The way things are. No, we had a holiday shortened week, obviously, condensing some trade action in. After the bell, stick around. We mentioned it this morning, but earnings season's in tow. We got Netflix after the bell. We're definitely going to be talking about that, so we will be back. We'll be at the table. We'll be spinning things around and showing you guys a bit of a new look. But we are going to be covering Netflix earnings, which are expected right after the bell. This CRVS stock has been an absolute rocket ship. So congratulations. Shout out to everyone that's been looking at this small capper. Probably the strongest thing in a market, which has not been strong because, hey, the Nasdaq is down almost 2%. That's effectively where we were when we sat down, and we're right back into it with things not looking so nice. It was trend up in the morning, slight trend up in the morning. We weren't blowing things out of the water, but it was trend up into the morning, and now we're looking to head back into the lows. I'm still working with IBIT. I just took a breakout trend trade on silver, which couldn't go again. So it was like a breakthrough with volume-weighted average price, but if it can't hold VWAP, I don't want it. I was playing this on dips before, but now I only want it above the volume-weighted average price. So sticking with the things that have worked in the morning. Bitcoin's been weak. We couldn't hold on to 90,000. I say we, but it couldn't hold on to 90,000, trading at 89.5 and testing the lows of the session. So your BMNRs, your MSTRs, they were weak all morning as the risk off extended pretty badly to them and is extending pretty much everywhere now.
Yeah, you can see right now we're short Netflix, Palantir, and TQQs as we get ready to the bottom. What's up, Vizbot? Thank you so much for your love on that. I mean, we just started the show, so thanks to Sharif and Obi for the midday show. That's the great show. We'll just hope to follow in their footsteps. We will be doing we will be having very, very soon the Netflix earnings. So I am short right now Netflix into what should be a decent earnings call here this afternoon. So I'm gonna go short Netflix. We've been hitting that short. It's now gonna be P&L #1 for me, so that's good. A couple shorts in a row there. We just got a nice little high there at 88.60 as well. We're just trying to play underneath VWAP right there, but would like to see this fall back in just a little bit. Don't feel like we've gotten that quite yet, as well as short the market. We've been short here. We actually added to that position right there, brought this down to the downside. Now trying to see, this is a good one, man. This is 50 cents in the money. We'll see if we can get out of it. If it does take, I might as well change this, 51.40, my new stop there. My stop was up at 52. So 41.40. 51.41 was put a stop in there. Make sure that we capture at least 20 cents and just move forward with all of this. So right now, so far, so good into what should be, Trump is speaking now, talking about the economy, this and that. There's a whole bunch of things flying through our news feed, and we'll be talking about that shortly. Here comes the TQQs. Oh yeah, and then Palantir. This one, so this is my cleanest trade of the day because we only have it, well, we had it there, nice. Then we got stopped out on the way back up, so still put us in a positive spot. And now we're going to reshort again PLTR here in case this really does get going down there to the downside. So, just trying to use this 50 period or so again as some stops for us on Palantir. I actually still ramping it up into 170. But yeah, here we go, man. Short everything right now. And yeah, what's up, Charlie, and everybody that's in the chat as well, man. We're really glad that you're here with us, and hopefully we'll be able to put on some decent trades. I got 3 on right now. Neil's got 1. So yeah, it should be a busy afternoon, and then the rundown with Sharif, and then Netflix earnings right away. So
yeah, Netflix. I mean, in addition to Netflix, we'll get Interactive Brokers as well. I mean, maybe not as exciting of a name. I would venture to say people probably here use them more than they own the stock, that's for sure. And then we'll have airline, I think it's UAL, we said? Yeah, UAL after the bell as well, so the airlines will be back into play. They've been understated. I mean, well, look, we always talk about I shouldn't say we, I should speak for myself. I always talk about the airlines. It's a difficult business and it's kind of like a trade, don't own. But hey, these have been pretty good off the lows as well. Unfortunately today, like everything else, it doesn't look so bullish now as you're breaking some support here. We'll see. Obviously, anything can happen on earnings. Maybe not the best sign of the world that you were ramping into some highs and now losing a bit of support. But I'm going to look to fade some of these bounces. Just looking up at my charts to IBIT. This has trended down most of the day. But if I look at it, like VWAP was a thing before, and then kind of that open bottom at 10 o'clock is now the new resistance at 51 or just under 51. So I'm going to look to short this underneath this lower high, worry about VWAP the volume weighted average price, if we get there. But there's been a lot of weakness in the market. One of these, and I just saw in the chat from Doug, that wasn't weak, Intel. This was up almost 7% this morning. Like, it was an absolute rocket ship off of the open, and then for the 3rd day in a row, it fails that 50 level. So, tried it at resistance. It's to me like you're breaking down off 50. Try it at first resistance, doesn't work. It kind of pulls into this high, does the reversion, doesn't work. Then it gets into the actual double top, which is a different story, and almost giving it all back here. Not all of it, because it's still up 3%, almost 3% was Intel. So there were a select few chip names which were just rocket ships off the open. You had to be very, very patient with to be certain. And Save Man Woman says Intel's cooked. We'll see. I mean, this afternoon it looks like the move is certainly cooked. But it's been cooking since the government made their investment at $19. We'll see if it can hold up. I think they have a lot at stake this week's earnings. And push comes to shove. I think earnings are going to matter a heck of a lot, especially for the memory chip names, and then individual names like Intel, which ran pretty far without a lot of fundamental change. So let's be real. Micron, another one of those, the memory chip names. I mean, this stock broke out and it's still pretty close to an all-time high. I don't know that obviously it's pulled back a little bit, but if you look at Friday's high, it did spend a lot of the time today above Friday's high. I guess it's just teetering now. But another big day for some select chip names. This looks like it's on the back end of it a bit here. Watch out if Micron loses this bid, because that could be another all-time high rejection.
all right, some big names here. Obviously, you guys can see what I'm short here, about $1.50 or so, or about $1.30 with all of them. We'll see. I mean, Palantir may not break, man. I mean, I was thinking about putting another bid right here at 169. I mean, if we can get it, we can get it. If not, fine. We already talked about where we're going to get stopped at. We took 50 cents a couple times here, hoping out and holding out for a bigger move. I think we're set up pretty good with all of these trades here into the closing hours. So, yeah, all right, let's get ready to go. We are going to have an interesting new sort of format for our closing show after 4 p.m. as well. So that should be a lot of fun. So stay tuned for that. Show us some support tonight. You guys always want these after hours shows. I'm expecting an absolute full attendance tonight on our post-market show. If you want it, support it. So that's going to be coming out today, and then we'll be throwing down. We actually showed you guys last week just by going to Trader TV Research, and if you do follow me, I've been posting up everything as well, but I always tag Trader TV Research. This is Adara's channel here, and if you go over, lots of stuff talking about it. Oscar talk? Okay. Oh, that's Netflix there. And then, I don't know, I saw last week, earnings. This is today, pre-market, 3M, Fastenal, right? And then earnings this week. Wow, Adair, I think you got to slow down on some of these posts over here. Where are they all over here? Oh, there it is right here. Here's the earnings calendar. Yeah, so we got lots of stuff happening. We'll be hopefully going, I think, on Thursday after market. I'm not sure if we decided yet, but that's Intel right there, CSX as well. So a couple names. And then,
And Procter and Freeport.
Yeah, but I think J&J is actually just as big tomorrow. So Halliburton tomorrow as well. And then into next week where we get some of the big hitters coming through. So make sure you do. Here, I'll put this little photo there in our chat, and you guys could go check that out. But Netflix is today, and right now we're 40 cents in the money on the short on what is going to be P&L number 1 here with Netflix. And we just sort of started trading it, got a good little bump there, shorted that right back into a level that we're waiting to break. So hopefully it does that. I'm bidding nowhere right now except for under 88. So, all right, Sharif, we don't want to keep you for very long, so it's over to the main desk right now for the rundown with Mr. Sharif.
Welcome to the Afternoon Rundown, everyone, the show where you decide what we talk about every afternoon. The big boys, they're locked, they're loaded, and they're ready to look at the tickers as decided by you. But the only way to get your tickers on the Afternoon Rundown, you gotta join us in the chat and you gotta vote. The way to vote, though, is you throw in that $ followed by whatever ticker your choice. So keep that in mind, but make sure to join us every day and to vote. Let's look at all 4 major averages, and all 4 major averages are negative on the day, with the NQ leading the way in negative territory here, 1.9% in Redville on the triple Qs. The SPY, not really much different, 1.88% in red, and that just made a new intraday low. The Dow Jones Industrial, the DIA, the ETF also down 1 2/3, and faring the best out of the bunch is the small cap hefty Russell 2000 with the IWM, the ETF there, down 0.95, not quite down 1%, but CRVS, the number 1 ticker as decided by you guys. Corvus stock spiking here on the heels of strong eczema study results. So Corvus Pharmaceuticals, CRVS, reported positive phase 1 trial results for their drug, which is for moderate to severe atopic dermatitis. It showed a 72% mean ESA reduction on day 56 versus the 40 for the placebo guys. The market liking that to the tune of $19.88. That is the high, up 143%.
And the rundown for this name and all the others brought to you by Funded Futures Network. Because I want to ask you a question. If someone handed you $1.25 million to trade, would your process change or just your upside? That's the opportunity Funded Futures Network provides. They're a futures prop firm that gives traders access to large SIM and live funded accounts every day. They've already paid millions to traders around the world, with fast same-day and daily payouts. And right now, a valuation account are 50% off. So buy one, get one free, and no activation fees. You can find the link below or scan the QR code you see right in front of you on screen to check them out. Shout out to Funded Futures Network. And maybe you were long that CRVS. Look, 20% short float on this bad boy with a relatively, it's actually not as small as I would have thought. It's a 59 million float. So let's turn that over one time. Thought it might have been a little bit smaller than that based on some of the price action you see here. And the crazy thing about this, it's not really that crazy, is whoa, are we talking about a stock up 100%, which when you pull out the daily chart, is actually a relatively healthy chart. It is. Ever since this started holding $1, this is basically stair-stepping up, and it's a pretty solid breakout trade through $10. So sometimes we when in doubt, zoom out, and it looks pretty nasty, and you're like, oh my goodness, maybe you don't want to be too involved in this one. This actually looks pretty solid. Again, no one ever went broke taking profit. You should always understand whether they can drop offerings here, but this one held up very well. Almost all the volume today was above the volume weighted average price, which is pretty distinct. It does seem like the $20 level, it's starting to slow down a little bit here, so might be doing a dip. Watch out for this 18. It was kind of a weird accumulation at $18. If that can hold, maybe you'll get that push into $20 this afternoon. So decent short float, not overwhelmingly either. It's not as if the float was so small that I think anybody who's got destroyed today, like any shorts had all kinds of opportunity to cover today. So I wouldn't call it necessarily a big time short squeeze based on the liquidity, but certainly a very productive day for CRVS and a decent looking chart. Just watch out for that potential offering, which could always come any given day.
That's so funny because we just, like, I was bidding O2s on Netflix. I decided to sit in front of 88. It came right down to, and printed O3s and not O2s. So we've changed our bid now to 06 on Netflix. So if that comes in, great. And then also just took another profit there. I was talking with D-Dog there in the chat. I took another piece right here at the low of the day on the futures. You know, we've been going short this. It's the #1 trade idea on the note here today is the TQQ short. So I wrote down 53. We got pretty close. We got to 52.60 there. Wasn't here or else, man, I'd be even so much more short. But yeah, here it comes back into the close. Hopefully we get lower here on the Nasdaq. And as I'm holding Netflix, Palantir, and the TQQs, dollar down today, as you can see on the board right there. Bitcoin down 4%. Bitcoin just broke 90,000 here during lunch. So that's starting to get a little spicy to the downside as well. All right, Sharif, let's go. What is stock number 2?
It is AMD, Sean. President Trump's still speaking, by the way, guys, saying many different things. He's touting the economy. He's saying that, you know, the United States is not going to have a trade deficit next year. Anything new, I'll keep you guys apprised of as the news conference continues to unfold. So AMD, guys, it was a really big spike up there at 9:30 on AMD, going green on the day, now just marginally red, down 0.1%. There's really no specific AMD headline today, but there were several NVIDIA ones. Separately, NVIDIA wants to launch a new kind of PC to take on some of the Chromebooks. There was also the China headline about possibly restricting the H200 imports into that country, despite the U.S. Commerce Department giving the go-ahead for export. NVIDIA, of course, has its own MI355, which could make its way to China as well. So AMD, guys, looked a lot better than NVIDIA. Still is, but down 1/5.
Yeah, still down 1%. I mean, I can take it. I was trading this, and the short was no good early, and it's great now. So I should have Pikachu, I choose you to reshort it up here. But like I said, it was not here at that 240. Just kind of reminds me of Intel, just like gets to a real key price, man, and then just falls off. Like, I didn't think we'd get that high today, but we got burned early. It'll be my worst stock today, obviously, as we just continue to short AMD. We were able to take profit. Like, it was absolutely wild. I was going from dollar winner to dollar loser, like, very, very actively in the first 20 minutes or so, back and forth, till eventually we blew out that top at 236 and we had to get out, right? But now you can see a complete recovery into the downside here as the market just continues to bleed lower. So I think we're right with the AMD call, but just the timing bad. I think AMD goes lower from here, and it's too bad because I chose to go over to Palantir and short that one when I should have, and it was right into here, same timing, right? I should have shorted, like you can see right around 130 or so, should have shorted AMD because it's the one that's completely falling right now. If I just did that, we'd be now a couple bucks in the money and looking to break even lower. So let's see if the rest can play catch up right there. Netflix, give me that 06. Right, man, last time we talked about $1.30 in the money. Now we're about $1.80 in the money on these 3 trades. So the market's getting a little spicier to the downside here. Some big wins coming through now on the desk. Let's see how low this market can go. Short the TQs currently.
Yeah, just going on, I'm glad you brought up AMD, because I think when you said, like, pick your poison, for me, I was in AMD off of this high from Wednesday. Oh, actually, that'll be Thursday's high, where it was back and forth. This is a 15-minute chart. And when it finally set up, I had actually just got wicked at 11:45. It's like, why not get back in? You got to pick your spot. There was another name which was just as strong this morning, and it was Intel. And if anything, and it just went back to the well with this, where you're going back into those highs. But if there's one thing that you have to be able to do, you can like something for a short, but like Intel was a long, so you can try it at certain levels, try it here, and then again, wait for it to get to the next level, look for the pullback, enter there, make sure you get out, then wait for it to test the high, lower high. Actually took it a third time off that lower high. It didn't work. It's like 0 for 3 on Intel. And then it did work off 50, and this is that moment that AMD turned as well, right before noon. I played it back for VWAP. Obviously, it went further, but even just getting back to VWAP was good enough to pull a 1 for 4 and get the flat slightly up on Intel. It just comes down to, if you're going to be wrong, or if you're going to play a stock, wait for current key price levels. Like, it's one thing to be all over it because you're shorting something, it's making lower highs all the way through. But if it's breaking and looking strong, wait for it to get to a key price and then sort of take your shot where it makes a little bit of sense, where you have a more defined out, where you know that you have gap fill potential. right? So allowing it to get to that absolute top level before jumping in, that's what saved the day ultimately today. Because like this morning, everything was grinding to the upside, right? So if you're able to make it work, it has to do with sort of being patient and waiting for it to get into those key levels. And then when it shows a turn, take those shots at it. And while we're on the chips, just one more. I just wanted to quickly show one chip name, which I don't think we discussed SMCI at all this morning. But for what it's worth, as the market turned and is now pulling back, I just want to note that SMCI has just been kind of weirdly consolidating here and not doing much of anything. So if the market were to bounce, SMCI would be on my radar this afternoon for a potential breakout trade. And then maybe you could fill in a little bit of this gap. Just so very distinctly different to every other tech name that I'm looking at right now, where you got the V-shaped recovery. Everything was gapped down this morning, but it's holding pretty well. So if the market does break lower, whatever, maybe it joins. But if we actually get a bounce, SMCI has shown some relative strength that's worth watching this afternoon. Now let's see what stock number 3 is. I didn't cheat, so I actually don't know.
All right.
All right, guys, SoFi down almost 2%. It tried to go green momentarily with a 26.34 high, trading at around 25.63. They did have a headline today with this GoTo. So GoTo Technologies, which apparently is the leading or the nation's leading dental talent marketplace. They're announcing here a new partnership with SoFi, trying to create a one-stop shop for digital finance services. Here's what they said. Through the private partnership, eligible GoTo users can gain access to enhanced financial support designed to help them better manage debt, build long-term stability, and achieve personal and career goals. GoTo, guys, nation's leading dental talent management or marketplace company, tying a new agreement today with SoFi.
Okay, maybe that's why SoFi was so strong this morning, or it was just everything was bouncing higher. But when I came back at noon and was talking about like the lesson of the day, one of the things was, well, when a stock is, if you're waiting for an opportunity to trade something, maybe look at when it just does something different, which on a 15-minute chart was all green candles until the first one at 10:45. Like there's your first red candle, then puts in a lower high short to VWAP or like that support. Then it breaks down underneath that, so short the bottom end of the range. And I might go back to this well on trend for SoFi, but unfortunately on the higher time frame, still looking like SoFi's in this pullback, right? Head and shoulders here. There's your top. There's your lower high. We're still pressing back into this 25 again. I mean, try to bounce today. We'll see how successful it is, whether it can hold 25. If this market continues lower, at least a retest, I think, is in play. And let's see that 200-period moving average on the daily. That's where I think I'll be looking for the buying opportunity. But I didn't reload this just now underneath VWAP, but that's what I'm inclined to do for SoFi. So again, that 15-minute chart, it was just all green in the morning. And then the second it put in a red candle, it's like, okay, play the lower high. And then the trend is back in, and that's what ended up working today. You know, that patience, and when the market's going up, wait for signs of a turn, and then when you get them, that can be your better chance. Because there's opportunities to get in, but if you're too aggressive early on during the strength, that's where you can get a little bit hurt. I still like SoFi. Just gonna remain bearish on this thing, at least until the low 20s, based on what we're seeing.
Yeah, I mean, I like, we talked a little bit about the bank stocks throughout, and I mean, if you just look at XLF and sort of how bad that name's been performing over the last 2 weeks or so since earnings, yeah, this may be, instead of, you know, picking and choosing which sort of bank stock you're liking to look at there, I really like SoFi, so that would, like I said, that was going to be one of my picks if we had a little bit more names to pick. But there goes XLF downside and continuously bleeding, and so, you know, you're going to look there, you're going to look at Robinhood. We do have, I thought it was also tonight, maybe IBKR was either tonight or tomorrow as well, so or whatever. So we'll see what happens with there tonight. And I think this name is very, very interesting, man. And you're right at the 200 period, like right now. So another interesting name to look at here for Hood. Like just right here at a tipping point, man, looking like a flat bottom break. I think we could get that through 100. So if we break 100 tomorrow, or I don't think it'll be today, it's at 105, but you know, down another 5%, that could easily happen. So watch out right here for a nice move down. And we're getting lower, man. The futures are collapsing right now. So we've got a little bit of diamond hands on board right now as we go to the downside right now in the TQs. We go to the downside in Palantirs now. 70 cents, and we finally broke a little bit lower. I was actually waiting for 60s to get filled. We almost got that. Let's be patient and wait. 168.60 here coming through, hopefully on PLTR. But yeah, so far so good on this downside push. Maybe we'll take a little bit out just not to get too greedy. But yeah, bank stocks, like them. Don't love them at these levels, but wouldn't mind seeing a little bit of a bounce back in the big boys, JPM, Morgan Stanley, and then some of these little banks can get going. Remember, SoFi's January the 30th, if my mind does not fail me again.
All right, guys, ONDS, Ondas Holdings, the next one here, up about 9% on the day, but off that 1420 high. Multiple analyst price target increases today. Let's start with Oppenheimer maintaining the outperform rating on ONDS, but raising the price target from 12 to 16. A bit of a similar look here for Northland. Analyst Michael Lattimore raising the firm's price on Ondas from 10 to 16, keeping that outperform rating basically guided stronger in the last report. And then last but not least here, Lake Street also raising the firm's price target to 19 from 10 and keeping that buy rating after the company announced a significant upside in Q4 as well as its 2026 outlook, guys. ONDS up 8 3/4.
Yeah, we're a day for the price target.
Keep going.
You'd love to see this hold out a little bit better, but unfortunately for ONDS, I mean, the good news is this looks like a heck of a reversal type day. I mean, the bad news would be, like, it's still putting in more or less the same lower high as last week. Last week, you were effectively failing 14 to 14 change. That's exactly where this stock turned around. So I'm going to call it somewhere, I don't know, around just underneath like 13 bucks. Like this 12.80, 13 area, that's what needs to hold today for this to remain productive. If we close underneath that bar, I'd be a little bit skittish about this upward move, but it still looks good on the higher time frame for ONDS. I just find the timing of that price target upgrade as it's starting to appear like the back end. Like, look at all the topping tails, look at all the rejections in these mid-teens here for ONDS. Outlook looks okay, but if I was in it, this is kind of the thing that would make me be trimming if I was in this one off the 50 period, or like if you had it from all the way down, like mid last year, you're probably sitting pretty. You probably already taken some profit, but you know, if you were in it recently here, I'd be taking a little bit of profit, especially if you can't seem to hold on to this $12.80, $13 area this afternoon. So that's going to be a big key for OND. It's been a great stock recently, but not a lot of buying days since it turned at 15.
All right, man, the Nasdaq is extending, and the S&P 500 is extending their declines right now, and yeah, not great, man, as you can clearly see what's been happening right now as we continue to get lows, man, down 6% now on the TQQs. That one's now starting to get extended out, and we did get our 60 fill there on, I actually took 65 on Palantir there as we continue to go just a little bit lower. Check out the IBIT as well with Bitcoin. I think we have one, yeah, he's still back there, one more stock to go, and then maybe we can start talking a little bit about BTC, so on and so forth. Okay, Sharif, one more, my guy.
Micron, Sean, basically looking flat, up 0.08. Multiple headlines today. They rose initially in the pre-market after agreeing to acquire PSMC's P5 Taiwan fabrication site for $1.8 billion in cash. It includes a 300 millimeter fab clean room and establishes, you know, that long-term partnership that they had with PSMC. It's expected to close the second half of this year with meaningful DRAM production starting the second half of 27. Separately, multiple analyst comments today on Micron, starting with TD Cowen maintaining the buy rating on Micron, but boosting the price target up markedly from 300 to 450. Likewise, with Stifel here maintaining the buy on Micron, boosting the price target a little bit more conservatively here, 300 to 360. Micron, flat on the day.
Yeah, you know what? Obviously, if you're flat on the day, today you're having a good day relative to the market. No questions asked. One of these guys report. They're always at the end of the cycle. They're going to be a ways away. I just think if the stakes are high for Intel to prove something on Thursday, then this quarter for Micron is going to be a big one, and for all of these memory names, because everyone's expecting 4x improvement, 4x year over year when it comes to their EPS, and that's a lot to ask. That said, if they deliver, then you get a confirmation of all this buying. But given what's happened, like yikes if there's even like a slight miss or if they just don't like something on the conference call. I just feel like the back end could be a little bit nasty. For this afternoon, if we lose 360, I think this is, flush fill is the wrong way to think about it, but it's starting to look like you could get some head and shoulders action. And when you're talking about Micron, that's exactly when you got to look at some of the other cohorts. Like I'm actually surprised every time that Micron comes up and SNDK is like having a way better day, and it's like, no one's really talking about it. Like for Micron to be flat and SNDK to be up 9%, it just kind of bears pointing out the baton got passed in this space from, like it was, when we were back here in late December or so, Micron was leading the way, and then that change happened here, and now SNDK seems to be leading the way in momentum for the memory chip names by far. Another 9% today and holding up much better. Maybe this gets reversed at some point in the near future. But for now, I think it's baton pass to SNDK over Micron when we get these up moves. So if you see a breakout happening in the memory space, still proven otherwise, I feel like this is the name that you want to grab early on and not necessarily Micron. Micron, great run for Micron, no questions asked. I mean, the fact that it's even flat today does speak to its strength, but nothing compared to SanDisk.
Yeah, some of these names are wild. WDC, another one that's starting to go upside. And if you look at Oracle right here, 181, this name continues to flat out just disappoint traders. Oracle looked like it wanted to get going there, trying to break through the 200 period moving average, and whoops, all the way there to the downside. Down goes Oracle, which reminded me I wanted to look up here our little tracker right here. And of course, in dead last place is Neil and myself. So we'll have to wait to see what winds up happening right here. But here's the official tracker. And as you can see, Neil right here down to 95.40. I'm at 95.80. Oh, Mateo's in this now? Okay, I don't even know what he chose. But there's in first place is Adara. I don't know. First place is Adara right now, and Ramin Fabian. So there you go, man. And then Obi, Sharif, and then here's Neil holding up the rear with your boy as well. So we'll see what winds up happening right there moving forward. But in a bad day today, that's our stock tracker portfolio. Man, we had a good time doing that. We want to thank everybody for those trades. And let's just keep the positive thoughts going in this market right now, because I think it needs it, man. I mean, here we go. Now we are almost in this club one more time. It is a dollar club right now to the downside here on Palantir. Finally breaking. We should be short AMD, but of course we are not. We pick and choose right here with PLTR. But there's a nice move down in AMD. I think it's still bleeding. Is it going to break 230 today? That's going to be the question that we all need to find out the answer to. So there it is. Nice move down there for Palantir and for AMD. AMD really getting weaker as this day goes, and so is Tesla. Last time I checked this one, yeah, it was at lows, and even lower right now, 350, 35%, sorry, bouncing near that 450 the last couple days, but now it's just straight downside. Will we land at 420? What a surprise. If that winds up happening right there, we'll call in Weed Batman and see what he has to say about it. But there goes Tesla right now, breaking lower. TSLA, Gonzos right now, nice move to the downside. Silver was cruising. We just talked about AG, which was a pick of Fabian's as well. So that's a silver play. And right now up 5.6% upside right now for SLV. And I believe gold, gold's sort of saving my portfolio a little bit, although I don't have that much in it. I haven't looked today, so I don't know if I want to. But gold up 4% and still going higher. Okay, here comes, yeah, Palantir is really collapsing, man. Here we go, man. We ride the bull. We props it up. Who's short? When we started this show, this is why I give this stuff to you, man. We were about $1.20 in the money on these three positions. Now we've got 90 cents here on Palantir. We've got 80 cents right here. That's $1.70 right there. Plus add another 60 cents onto that. So that's $2.30. So as I've been yapping along here for the last 25 minutes, we've added $1 to our P&L. So hopefully that continues to go right now as we continue to watch these markets. And I'm short, looking at the chat, seeing if there's anything you guys want to talk about. But right now, man, it is a downside push right here. And I think the market even gets lower than this. We're going to try to hold on to some of these shorts. There goes Netflix, just broke $88 into the low of the day, and bang, 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 we're short, man. We also were able to give you another one. But most importantly, we got reloaded up here on Netflix. So that's the bigger trade well, these are fine, but get reloaded, take that back into the downside right now. So far so good there, man. As we just wait for earnings tonight on Netflix, should be a good one. We should have Brian Shannon coming through soon as well, so that should be a good hit for us, and we'll talk to him about that. But there it is.
He likes earnings season.
Yeah, now we are 250 and going higher here in the money. So far so good on these shorts.
Yeah, so far so good. I mean, he was just waiting for that back end to come in to make the day. I see a lot of people saying ONDS is also dumped, SMCI, which this was like the only one of the only tech stocks I was looking at that actually had a bullish setup potentially for the afternoon. Now even it's breaking down. So if we lose VWAP, I'd probably become interested in this one in the other direction to start to look for the absolute bottom. But I don't want to rush anything because I think this morning was a perfect example of like eventually things came into work. But if it wasn't trending down, I didn't want to be all over it. And then if it's trending up, then you want to wait patiently for the opportunity. So I kind of missed one pop here in IBIT. And this is the only pop in IBIT I think that I didn't grab, but that was through the opening range low. So if we come back up here again into the 50-80, then I want to jump back over. But it is SMCI that now that it's losing the bid a little bit, I know it's down 5%, but the percent down in the day is a very deceiving thing. And ultimately, like, what was it doing for most of the morning? Like, at the open, it was buying, and then it held higher as the market was going to said downside. So for most of the day, there's been relative strength in this stock. That's starting to abate. It's got to lose 31 to get me interested for a setup here as well. Tony saying BBAI is dumping. My guess is almost everything is going to be heading in to the downside. But again, it's about timing it, right? Like, I don't want to just sit here, punch short like anything, or jump in at anything, because that timing is going to be everything in your trades, and that's sort of the idea. Let me just quickly check BBAI. I felt like this was...
It was good. It's down 4%.
Yeah, this was like SMCI earlier, where even as the market started pulling back, it was still looking relatively bullish, but no longer. Where is it with that 200? You might get that 200 period again, though, on BBAI. That's at $5.60. So the support on this stock has been pretty much undefeated. If I zoom out, you can see this a little bit better. Let that fill in. There. Now you get a better sense of what I'm getting at here with that 200 period on BBAI. Pretty significant. It gets like 20 cents down from here, and you're pretty much at that bounce spot where you're going to want some support. So I'd wait that one out for the 560 test, about the only place I'd be interested in. But for me, it's going to be SMCI. If we get a pop in IBIT to make another short, we've been shorting that one pretty much all day, as it's been lower highs all the way through. But I want to see VWAP fail on SMCI before we get into it. Let us know what you guys have that you're interested in for sure. 420s coming in for Tesla.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, what do we say? I know I hate the term penalty box, but maybe that gets overused. But this one's in the penalty box, certainly. Ever since that 500 test, I heard Obi even say it as well. Look, you clearly failed when it got to the highs, but you can't. How are you supposed to complain about the move last year? Like, it quadruple bottomed at 220. Like, how many times do you have a chance to buy this 220 level, a quadruple bottom down here, and then you went all the way back into the highs? Well, there's your move, and now we're pulling back off the highs under the 50. I don't know, 420 can't hold. I'm not unconvinced you're not waiting for somewhere in the high 380s or the 200 period. I think you want to get real patient with some of these stocks, to be sure. It's just too good of a move off the lows to expect a shallow retracement sometimes.
Yeah, I think you got to be very, very careful, especially with all of this tantrum sort of happening in the market right now. I mean, you're down 2%, and I don't think we need to throw in the towel here completely. Like, I know I'm short, and I'm sort of pounding the table on these shorts, but, you know, we were short in the morning and talking all about that. This is what the Qs looks like on a daily chart. So the Nasdaq today is giving it all back over the month of January and going back to sort of where we were at the beginning of the year, right into here. But yeah, I think you want to be real nervous if we can sort of break below this 580 mark, which gives us at least another 3 or 4% into tomorrow, and then 570 would be your 200 period moving average. The last time, obviously, we broke that, and if we zoom back out a little bit here, would be in April, which is right there. I don't even think we broke it during these dumps. No. So, you know, that was an area, and it took all of that so the break happens March 10th or so, and then it takes March, April, May, so about 2.5, 3 months or so, depending on the date exactly, to get back through that. So you did have a washout period right there, and you could see started and stopped by volume. So that would be a big one there as we break higher. I think pretty consistent volume until right there where we made those lows, another extension on the volume. And so right now, not even getting a huge volume candle, but I mean, that's irregardless of the closing print. So we'll have to wait to see what happens today on the triple Qs and see what kind of volume that looks like there at the end of the day and see if there is a significant push for that. All right, you know, we got to set our stops now because we're getting close to, again, sort of a max pain. Like we just went down to 168.50 there, and here it comes right back up to 169 again as Palantir. So we know this stock can be strong when it wants to be. So let's get some out here in the 80s. We got our 60 fill already. We got a couple fills there, so we're happy with that. We just didn't get the continuation to the downside. We got a real good dump in Netflix, man. We got 91s there. Let's just put another bid right here, 95. We'll see if we can take that. As we start to get lighter and lighter on this position, I'm not sure how many shares of Netflix we've traded on this total position. Well, I know totally it's a couple thousand on this, but we're just going to wait, getting out and out and out of shares here at 87.90. Let's see if it drips down. We don't want to be too short heading into the earnings. I mean, at 350, when those imbalances come out, that could tell the story as well. So we're going to have to be careful with that. And then the Nasdaq. So most of my stops, if you guys are looking, are going to be at the 50 period moving average. So this was actually at 51.20. I guess I can change that now. I'd still like to get shorter on the Qs, but if we do break, if we break above, what is this, 51 flat basically, let's go 51.06. If it breaks above, then we'll stop ourselves out of that trade. Yeah, that's the only one that's really in any sort of worry for me. Not worried about Netflix. I still think that goes a little lower there, and nothing else really to be concerned with. Uber is a position that I recently bought a little bit more shares in, and that wasn't that recent, but it was at 85.86. That bounced nicely off 80. Let's see what Uber can do. They're down 2% here today. And, you know, what was a bank rebound based on some of those great earnings that we did have later last week. But earlier on in the week, we had JP Morgan, and they've really now started to fall again and took out last week's lows. So not great. Another 3% move down there for JPM. It got to 307, got back to like 315, 316 there on Friday, and now whoops, downside again as the banks start to become in question here, as you know, trade and this tariff worry. And I don't know what the tariffs would exactly have to do with the banks, but nice move down there. And we still worry about the credit card sort of talk there with Visa and MasterCard and all that. And I don't know. Right now, Bitcoin's not doing much, so I don't know if stable coins or anything. But yeah, Visa downside there.
The only thing Bitcoin is doing is struggling. IBIT's down 6.5% today. So for
yeah.
people asking about lottery.com, it was halted for like 30 minutes here, but it was a volatility halt. So my guess is they just didn't have any liquidity. If the volatility halt lasts longer than the 5 minutes or the 10 minutes, it usually just means you have serious liquidity concerns and they don't open the stock back up for those reasons. But it just reopened. Lottery.com is SEGG now. It used to be something else a while ago, but unfortunately, yeah, it just opened back up. Still up 33%, but it's certainly giving up the ghost. I didn't see a new headline, but yeah, hopefully. You got to set stops when you trade these. I'm just kind of hoping no one's trapped in this. Because if you got trapped in the first down halt, it's given up the entirety of the move and continuing to head lower. We don't have locate, so even if I wanted to punch short, my guess is they'd be incredibly expensive, and it's about to go into another down halt at $1.41. So all of the gains that Lottery.com had from this morning are about to get given back. So if I see SEG, I mean, it looks visually like an offering.
Yeah, oh wow.
Like the stock looks like an offering. Let me just double check, because I didn't hear anything in my ear. Yada, 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 just going in. I'm not seeing anything for it. Oh, here we go. Yeah, it looks like, yeah, it is an offering.
Oh, is it?
That's hilarious, because when I look at it, all the halts in the news service had it as SEGG, but the news service still had LTRY as the headline for the story. So yeah, they get a public offering here of 2.5 million shares of common stock. If you are ever trading some kind of a small capper that is going, understand that when it's working for you, when you have that euphoria, a lot of the catastrophic downside is exactly this. It doesn't always happen intraday. oftentimes you will get this happen overnight or in the pre-market or whatever it might be, but just understand that this is the end result. Like you end up gapping down through levels. If you don't have tight stops, you can get trapped in a halt and then give up all of your gains. So, halted indicating a 129 reopen for lottery.com. Not looking very good, unfortunately. Again, I hope no one got trapped in that one. US stops for a reason. I think that's one of the, we always talk about make sure you have an out, but for those that don't agree with stop orders, I feel like just looking at a chart like that is probably enough reason to get you in. Right, so looking for this breakdown on SMCI, doesn't seem to want to give up the ghost underneath VWAP yet, but it's getting pretty close. Like once you break down and have an open and close underneath the volume weighted average price, that'll be enough for me to get in. Intel not really doing too much. Also looking at potentially getting back into IBIT. Just hasn't really pushed back into that opening range bottom yet in the 50-80s. For reload. I think we're going to go to the desk at some point for Adara, as I've just heard for some news. Ooh, I saw something else which is getting locked and loaded.
Or what?
Well, maybe in a quick little second, because I see we are getting ready. You mentioned it already. We're going to have
we should have Brian Shannon on very soon.
We're also setting up for Brian. And oh no, all black. Maybe that's an ominous sign. The screen is gone.
Oh, the screen is gone in the background. Okay.
Okay, yeah, well, okay, that's right. So I just got in my ear. We're making some possible changes and working on some things. So yeah, all we're doing right there is working on some things in the back, which requires turning the screen off. So we are working on getting Brian, but I believe we are going to. Are we going to Adara or not? Okay, we're going to go to Adara now at the desk.
I'll be quick, guys. I just want to let you know, if you guys remember, during CES, I had a regular schedule in terms of who was speaking when from publicly traded companies. Guess what? I'm doing it again for Davos. So here's the World Economic Forum 2026 annual meeting. This is the schedule for the first half of tomorrow, Wednesday, January 21st. Now, if you're thinking, hey, 2:30 a.m., that's really early. This is in Eastern time. So that means a lot of this is going to be happening before the market opens, but I think it will provide you guys with a bit of a sense of who is speaking and what companies to be aware of during tomorrow's pre-market session. Now, the second part of this, which I'm going to be posting imminently, it's already ready to go. That's going to have stuff more immediately in our pre-market session, and then heading into 9:30. I believe the last event will be at 12:30 p.m. Eastern, or ending rather at 12:30 p.m. Eastern. So I'm going to keep this up for the rest of the week. Again, guys, WEF 2026 or Davos schedules. They're going to be on X at TTV Research. Here is the first one. Back to you.
Hey, thank you.
I think Murderer's Row for like the amount of like big names that you're going to see this.
Yeah, for sure. I think there's going to be, next week is going to be much bigger, but it should be a good one this week. As we talked about, there's really no Mag 7 names this week, so we'll have to wait for next week, and then it really gets kicked off. And
really
that's why Neil's here, my guy. Look at D-Dog here. How do you manage so many positions all at once? I just hand it over, and he starts talking, and sometimes I come back in and out, and I look to put my positions in, and I think the big thing is stop orders, right? I gotta set the stop orders out and make sure I'm watching some of these trades. And today it's easy because I'm short everything. I'm short Netflix. And plus it's also easy when there's 75 cents plus in the money. So I just, Netflix triple short right there, bang, right into the earnings. This is what I do every day. So pretty comfortable to do it. And there's the TQs as well. And, getting out and always making sure that I'm double checking where some of these stops are, because sometimes they'll start to rip up one way or the other. Like I'm just like, here, I have to cancel. I had a way bigger order to get more shares of Netflix short. It just didn't get up to those levels. So I got to double check order entry and things like that. But I think it's a great question. So again, thank you so much for asking that one. And it's just a matter of, getting your stops in and just keep on going back to, the little bit of the heavier positions and make sure that, none of the levels that you thought about breaking might break out. So like right here, 169.40. So I have my stop on Palantir breaking 170 right up here. But since that's not going to be a play and there's only now an hour left, why not we just stop out of the rest of this right here and then regroup? So we've already made the money on Palantir here. Hopefully it continues to go down, but if it does break through some levels, then we're all good. So 169.51 coming into play right now. We'll put a stop into there. Without any further ado, we will call on a very great friend of the show, Mr. Brian Shannon. And I normally have here, we'll do this for you, Brian. We'll come up. Here's the money storm hitting right now. So the first question, as you can see, Neil finally put on his hat over here. Did you
I
watch?
was going to only put it on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you only put it on for him. Did you watch any of the game there, Brian?
I did. I watched most of it, actually. It was a good game to watch.
Yeah, it was definitely an exciting game there. Depends on what side of the ball you're on, but it was an exciting game anyways. Overtime game.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean,
So not much to complain about. And there's the new Broncos, logo there. Nice little hat, Neil. I can see you haven't got much wear out of it, but good sport.
It's literally brand new.
Yeah, good sport wearing that there today as Neil celebrates the Broncos. So congratulations.
Right. He said he would. He's a man of his word.
Yep.
Well, I honestly hope that they go to the Super Bowl because I strongly dislike the New England Patriots for some obvious reasons for fans that are out there. But speaking of Super Bowls, maybe not this week, Brian, but if you're as a swing trader, we're starting to come into some pretty big earnings, which next week we'll start to get some of the Mag 7 names, be a little bit more quiet. But we start out with Netflix here, which used to be a much more important stock than maybe it is now. But what's your process going into this? Because oftentimes, we get a lot of questions, what do you think about stock X or stock Y? What's your prediction going into earnings? I like to make decisions after earnings, but I want to know just your process is, as the market's having a bit of a reversal day today and a bit of a shock itself. Is there anything that's piqued your interest before earnings, or are you a wait and see kind of swing trader?
I'm with you, Neil. I like to, a little bit of wait and see. You were just talking about Datadog, and I remember the last earnings report there, DDOG. That was that big gap up over here where that blue line was, so basically about 50 days ago. And it ran up a couple days and then just has been annihilated. So, I always like to give it a couple days to settle down with the anchor from the earnings. And if I was looking to buy Datadog, which I was actually, I wanted to see it stabilize over in this area at or near that volume weighted average price from the earnings report, and then to be a buyer of strength after that little consolidation, and then put a stop under here. Instead, it just continued to decline, and dip buyers, continue to get punished in there. It's just been, horrible in there for that stock. Reminds me a lot of Oracle, and that wasn't, of course, an earnings report, but when these stocks sell off, it's tempting to buy the dips because they're big names and that sort of thing. But just like we're seeing in Apple, you can't just buy these things because they're down. When they're in downtrends, you give the benefit of the doubt to the sellers.
Yeah, and just sort of along those lines, right now we're giving a lot of the benefit of the doubt to sellers on, especially Mag 7 names. Just out of curiosity, are you a long only kind of trader, or will you dip your toes into shorting as well along with this trend? And just out of curiosity, because I know myself, I've never swung short my entire life, but do you have anything that you at least see setting up for some shorts? Because I saw there was a crazy move on Dell today, which looked pretty nasty, breaking some support. And I feel like there's a lot of stocks.
That is, yeah.
There's a lot of stocks looking like that right now.
The problem with stocks like Dell, coming in, it's a beautiful, bearish flag setup, very similar to, this bearish flag in Apple that's broken down. And coming in today, I was looking to get short GEN, for instance, but it gapped lower like this, and I'm not going to chase GEN. And also NTAP was one that I had, you can see the drawing here is this was what I wanted to see happen was, we dropped from 110 to 103 on last 2 days of the week last week. I wanted to see it rally up and then short with a stop over here. I did get short a little bit of this one today, TOST. And that, is kind of the same story. It's below all these key moving averages. Longer term on the weekly chart, I've kind of got an eye on the anchor off of the 2023 low that it might come down and, let's say, undercut this. But when I short for a swing, Neil, I'm looking at it as, I just don't trust the shorts as much. So no matter what this stock does today, I absolutely will cover some before the close because, the way that shorts work, they'll gap up to here the next day, and I'll feel really stupid if I hadn't taken some off. And that puts me in a position of strength on the balance where if it starts to fail, well, then maybe I can re-add what I shorted. Or if it continues lower, that's great too. But to me, I have to manage risk a lot tighter on shorts.
Oh, that's a great point. I'm glad you said that about managing risk. I mean, the market in a general sense, typically is going to the upside. I'm glad you had some short ideas, and it's always tough when you like a short like that and then you're you're having to potentially chase it a little bit. My question, if you could go back to just, it doesn't really matter which one of those gaps down. In that particular situation, if it fills the gap back in, would you ever consider reshorting that breakdown, or is that too strong of a move for it to fill the gap back in and still like the trade?
You know what I'll typically do is I'll have like a 2-day VWAP. So I just drew a second VWAP right here on this chart. And if this morning, let's say it rallied up to that 2-day VWAP, and then the daily VWAP then looked like this, then I would say, okay, if it found supply at the 2-day VWAP, then breaks today's VWAP, then I would look to get short right here with a stop likely above the high of the day at that point. So it's, you know, let it bleed out a little bit back to the upside. Looking at this prior support as potential supply. If it fails in that zone near, you know, yesterday's volume weighted average price plus what's elapsed today, with a declining 5-day moving average, with a declining 20 and 50, structurally it's still broken. So maybe I could get an opportunity for that rally and then roll over. But I'm not the type of person who's gonna, you know, look at this on the open on a 2-minute chart and just short right there, especially when it opens. You know, a daily S2, it's similar to, I'm not generally going to buy a stock if it's, you know, gapped up to daily R2. To me, that means most of the range has been out. Now, looking in hindsight, you know, there was an opportunity maybe to short here as it broke back below VWAP, found supply there, and to short it in here or even short it over here. But I didn't do that because I just basically took it off my list for today for a short.
Thanks, Brian. How are you doing, my friend?
Doing well, Sean. You sound a little low energy today.
No, a little bit. Just trying to relax here into the close. I have 3 shorts on, so it's like, let's just wait to see. Actually, just got stopped at a Palantir. I want to talk about Bitcoin. I mean, Ethereum down 10% right now here today. And I was, you know, we were talking to traders earlier. I wonder how important, and tell me what you think about this, and I don't know if it's true for crypto or not, but like how important is this psychological level? Like we're right at 3,000 here. I mean, going back on a chart, this is just a 30-minute chart. We have a little bit of, you know, consolidation back near 2,900, 2,800 or so. What do you think about Ethereum today? Solana's down to 128. XRP just broke $2. Feels like this whole sort of space is really, you know, come tumbling down on us here a little bit. What do you think about crypto? Are we still staying away? I know I actually something similar last week.
No, actually, and I had been long Bitcoin, and as it got up towards this anchor from the all-time high last week, that's where I was starting to say, okay, and you know, I retweeted it today that I said, you know, it's at this level of potential supply. It's just had a nice little run. The anchor from the all-time high is likely to be a source of supply. So tighten your stops, maybe take a little bit of profits. And it's failed miserably from there. So right where it was supposed to. So knowing these key levels in advance is obviously tremendously helpful, just as it was in Ethereum, the anchor from the high, not the all-time high, but the high that it saw at the same time Bitcoin peaked, that you can see it was resistance in here, and then it was resistance here. So now it's breaking. I mean, this thing is pretty ugly. It's, you know, if we looked and switched it to a weekly chart, it might look a little bit like a bearish flag in here. I don't like the looks of these things at all. So I am 100% out of crypto right now. Okay. And let's just go back to the daily. You know, this is, we're right here at the dash 50-day moving average and the anchor from the November low. It should find buyers in here, but there's no evidence of it yet. So when I look at the shorter term time frame, there's no evidence of buyers in here. So I'm not ready to buy it yet. As you know, I'm not going to buy the dip. I want to buy strength after the dip. And it just isn't there for Bitcoin. So with a declining 200-day moving average, my bias for the year is still to the downside, you know, neutral at best to maybe slightly positive, but you know, with a 200-day moving average declining, it says the big money is still rolling out of this thing.
And I guess you really got to have like sort of get that whole FOMO thought out of your head, because like to be flat, you know, crypto, you know, and just waiting for something to happen, I think that shows a lot of you know, responsibility and a lot of patience in your style of trading, because I know it's hard for a lot of traders to do. And we got asked that question last week, like, hey, if you're thinking so negatively about the market, why not just liquidate everything and go into cash? I can't push that sell button, you know, like Apple's down 10%. I can't sell it down 10%. So that's why I think following some rules-based trading like you have right there with some of the marks on the chart really helps take away that sort of mental, like, do I want to hit the sell key or the buy key? Just do it based on programs and based on, you know, what your studies have showed you. I think that that's something that you do obviously great, and shows that you're flat crypto. So even some of us always hold on to a little piece, but, you know, going flat definitely just shows some great patience. On that note,
I'm not smart enough, Sean.
Yeah, nor am I.
I'm too emotional. If I don't have rules and strategies, I fall victim to the emotions. So I have rules of engagement and disengagement to make sure I don't. I mean, I don't mind that being a weakness because I've overcome it with strategies.
I mean, I think that's awesome. I think that's exactly what we're trying to do here. You talked about the energy levels and this and that. Sometimes you're getting too worked up. Sometimes you'll make trades that's like, oh my gosh, what have I done here, right? People want me to actually buy Big Bear AI. You want to talk about some BBAI, Brian? This is a stock that I recommended for this year. I think there's a lot of tailwinds in this stock, including... So these guys do the scanners, and there's a lot of security related features as far as AI. They just installed those heat sensors and body scanners and whatnot where New England Patriots play at the Kraft Group, their Gillette Stadium in Boston, Massachusetts anyways. BBAI, they keep on bouncing, Brian, off this 200 period moving average. Tell me it's different this time. I don't... What are you seeing in this stock? I mean, we always get it's one of the most popular stocks here that traders talk to us about. What do you think about BBAI, and how does this look on the chart? And are we buying this 200 period, or we're waiting until it breaks above 7?
I'm not a buyer of it here. When we look at this weekly chart, you know, what I see, Sean, is just a big giant mess in here. The good news about this mess is as you pointed out, it's holding the 200-day moving average, and this range is tightening. So that's a good part. That says, you know, we're getting ready for something, but we still have this little downtrend line where we have these lower highs in here. And, you know, the good news is now we've got that 50-day moving average, that dashed blue line flattening out. The 20 is about to come up through it. So it's building in here. It's building energy, and we do have, you know, at least one higher low in here. Maybe there's another test. And if you're the type of person who, you know, buys off the 200, then, you know, it could be a nibble and then add on strength that looks like this. But for now, it's just, you know, kind of, we had the big price correction from 10 down to, you know, drop 50%. And now we're correcting more through time. And it just requires, I think, some patience in here before it can really get up and get going again.
Yeah. Agreed on all of that front. Let stocks settle down and come to you, especially in this environment. All right, one last question, because it was a stock that you gave us last week, and then maybe if you have another one. This really ran, the metals company. You gave this to us last week, and it actually, I think it was the very next day, Brian. And I just wanted to know what sort of the strategy, because it broke through that $8 there. And I know you were talking about it, I guess it was last Tuesday. What's the date today? 20th, so about the 13th, and then we started to pop that very next day. So just a quick question. Are you still in this? What do you think about TMC? And I just know there's a lot of traders on our show that was like, oh, Brian nailed that one. And now it's kind of right back to those levels again. So what do you still like the metals company here? Thoughts on TMC, and then maybe a play that you're looking forward to in the next couple days or weeks? Or
Yeah, what we spoke about last week, Sean, was, and it's funny, this dashed orange line is a rolling 5-day moving average. So that's exactly where it was 5 days ago when we spoke about it. And what I was talking about at that point was I liked it as a buy above this little level with a stop under here. And, you know, it did take off nicely the next day. I sold some into strength, as I always do. And then I, you know, got stopped out actually on this day as it undercut this higher, it made this low, and then I got stopped out right here. So I'm still watching the stock, but as far as the trade, it was basically a scratch only because I took some off on strength. And you know, it's kind of like BBAI that it maybe needs to just tighten up a little bit further in here on especially over on this, you know, 30-minute time frame, do something like this and then get going. But I have sold it. If I hadn't sold it and I'm looking to maybe hold with a wider stop, I think a worst case stop probably goes under here, which is this level on the daily time frame that occurred on, what date was that? The 12th of this month.
And when you sell something, that first little tranche up there on the top side, is that a 25%, or how do you judge, how much to sell up there, percentage of your position? Is it the same every time? You talked about rules-based trading.
Usually it's about a third of the position, quarter or a third. If I really like it, then I'll sell a quarter. What I'll do is, as it approaches, so for instance, it broke out. So I'm always looking at the breakout level and saying, how did it get to the breakout level? It didn't quite break out. But as it got towards that level, I thought, well, here it's almost broken out. It's gotten a little bit extended to go there. For 7 to 8 is about a 13% rally, 15% rally. So I want to peel a little bit off and then raise my stop on the balance so I'm not stuck with it. Now it's just, it's kind of dead money in here near term. But what I often do is when I see a level of, so going back to Bitcoin, for instance, at the anchor from the all-time high, I said, now's a time to either peel some off or start to raise your stop. And when I say raise your stop, I just mean, listen, it's at a potential level of supply. Let's not throw our stock away because we think there's going to be resistance. We only know resistance after the fact. But if we raise our stop aggressively on that first third and trail it up under, the higher of the last 5-minute bar lows is what I like to use, either 2-minute or 5-minute if it has strong momentum, then I get out of that first portion. I'm holding 2/3 of it, and I'm in a position of strength on that 2/3. I don't feel like a jerk the next day if I'm holding the whole thing and it gaps down, because I do feel like a jerk if I hold the whole thing thinking, wow, why didn't I sell some? And that's how that came about, that I take that first third off, because so many times I would lose money and just kind of beat myself up over it.
Right.
Actually, I love that, Brian. You use the term scratch trade. I mean, obviously, if you're anyone that golfs, scratch is good in golfing. But in trading, sometimes too, like if you can have something not work, ultimately, in sort of in terms of your overall perfect plan, but you didn't even lose on the trade, I think that's fantastic for risk management, and a great point to bring up to a lot of the swing traders out there. Like, you brought us what you have to see. For all of your entries and exits, and also a bit of a risk plan for managing, which I think is absolutely perfect, Brian. Always a pleasure to have you. Let everyone know where they can find you for sure. And if any final thoughts, for sure, let us know.
Sure. Well, and the thing on that strategy, if I can just, expand on that a little bit, a lot of times people will, if the stock had not broken down, instead continue to go higher over the next few days, a lot of people would be complaining, well, shoot, we gave away that first third as the stock maybe runs to 9 or 10 or 11. But the point is to be able to be in a position of strength at all times. And if it gaps down and takes your profits away, then you've been proactive about your risk management rather than being reactive, and you still have 2/3 of the position, which you can make a lot of money with still, which is a great position to be in, is the position of strength and reducing that risk from the start. So that's just to expand on that a little bit. As far as new ideas, what I'm looking at, I really need to see this market settle down a little bit. There's a lot of stocks that seemed like they were setting up that are kind of now just a little, they're going to need a little bit of time, just like TMC. I still like the daily setup, but the intraday time frame, it's these lower highs and lower lows with a declining 5-day moving average. So I'm afraid I don't have anything for you here, but I update every day for subscribers on X for $10 a month at Alpha Trends is the way to find me there.
There he is, our good friend, as always. Hey, best of luck in all of your ideas, and thank you for outlining them here and showing the discipline that you have. Best of luck, and of course, we'll talk to you next week, Brian. And when we're into earnings season, I'm sure there'll be a heck of a lot more excitement as well.
Okay.
Ciao, Brian. Thank you so much. See you. All right, Brian Shannon, our guest trader of the day. We want to thank him for that. Yeah, good one there with the hat. That was a fun little segment. Federal Trade Commission spokesperson says FTC will appeal decision in Meta antitrust case. So, I was going to say we can go to Adair for more details on this one if she has anything. But
those are all the details.
All right, back to me. So just we'll wait. I mean, again, we do have a little news story thing here that I can show the story up here. I actually don't have that right here, but oh, here it is right here. Blackstone, senior officials. Ooh, Trump. There's more Trump talk here I could put up. I actually don't even see the Meta story. It was just on Benzinga, so I don't think there's too much going on there. Trump right now is just going and going. Here's an interesting story. What do you think about this? I should have gotten the Nobel Peace Prize. Okay, we'll clear that trigger there as well. U.S. crude, here it is, U.S. crude oil futures as well, starting to settle down at up 1.5% there today is crude. So just some different stories that have been popping around a little bit here today. Let's go over to Darren and find out another one.
Yeah, so I'll just give you a little bit more details here with META. Basically, on November 18th, the U.S. District of Columbia judge here ruling in favor of Meta in that FTC case. This was a case that started initially on December 8th of 2020, so this went on for like nearly 5 years. Basically, in the end here, Judge James Boasberg rules in favor of Meta, saying that even if the company might have had a monopoly position in the past, the FTC was not able to establish that the company had a monopoly position at the time of the ruling. So kind of interesting verdict there. Either way, that's what the FTC is appealing, as far as I can tell. So a little bit more context there for that FTC announcement. Again, this appeal comes like just over 2 months after the decision was made. Interesting stuff. One stock that did move here as well, at least a little bit on Trump's Q&A, is Coca-Cola, KO. Trump said during his speech that Coca-Cola is an example of a company that I guess would be negatively impacted by tariffs. This was kind of a one-off random mention here by Trump. Looks like he's now answering questions, though, at this press briefing. So all stay tuned. I'll keep you guys posted with everything you need to know.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, defensive name, Coke there. I think, do we? It's interesting because I feel like in we don't usually talk about Coke. I mean, headline like that potentially, but it was usually in the context of Warren Buffett or discussing it or liking it. And now that he's sort of out of the picture, like I don't even know who's gonna tout that stock anymore. I feel like that is one of those I immediately associate Coke, Apple. So it used to be with Oxy. Sometimes the railroads. Essentially with Berkshire Hathaway. It's going to be interesting to see Abel and whether some of those like stalwarts remain in favor, because I mean so much of the strength that
such a
came
good
for
support
stocks like that was support from Berkshire Hathaway. And so you would be able to run to that when anytime Berkshire is buying a stock like that, you just kind of jump in with them or just buy Berkshire as well. But yeah, it should be interesting to see how all of this changes this year. It's a big year and a lot of cash available for the new leadership of Berkshire Hathaway. Or we just got to...
I think Trump, so Trump is taking...
speaking right now.
Yes, so we're on fire a little bit here. We did reload this as we were speaking with Brian and didn't want to interrupt him. So there's the reload there. Almost stopped out, of course, but not on the futures. And this is, again, it's going to be a good stock here today. As we go short again, we go short again right there. This is like the definition of like believing in your trade. You're averaging down into it there, as well as Netflix. We averaged, actually, we didn't get our average in Netflix. We were waiting there at 88.10, did not grab that, and now we're sort of put our stop right there as well. So now my Netflix stop is breaking above this 88.05 right there. If we take that out, then we're gone on Netflix. Our Palantir came out at 50s. You know, we were going to make it 70, obviously in hindsight as this market falls down. Thing is, the market is very, very easy to humble you. So you don't want to stay in something that you know was wrong. And, you know, I thought AMD was right on this short. Looks like we had to wait all afternoon, but that wasn't a good short until it was. And that's what we're talking about there, waiting for certain things to happen. As XOM and oil continues to bump higher, so does XOM, so does CVX, so does a stock like Valero. I mean, these stocks have been absolutely hot fire over the last little while. Wow, Netflix. Someone asked me in the chat, like, here we go, man. This is going to be P&L number one. Unless I think Obi had a big trade on that, might be P&L one. But here's Netflix right now starting to bleed again to the downside. Now, someone asked before I get off topic here, am I going to be short into the earnings? No, but we got to be flat. So I'm going to be flat. I don't think it's wise anyways to be short, not in a day trade. I mean, if you're short with options or a swing trade or something, fine. But like, I have to cover as soon as basically the number comes out. So it's not really worth the risk of getting stopped out or having a huge win or a huge loss based on a random earnings report that I know nothing about. So I think the short is probably okay on Netflix. I mean, you know, just if you guys are waiting for something to happen, I don't know what the report's going to be like, but I know their daily active users probably, I'm going to say went up in the quarter. We did have some big NFL games throughout Thanksgiving and whatnot. I think that should help. You know, some different boxing matches that they've had. They had the Jake Paul, Anthony Joshua fight there. Is that his name? Joshua David? I can't remember. I don't know. I think it's is it Anthony Joshua? Okay. AJ, yeah. The Leafs have a Joshua, so that's why I keep on getting confused. But nice move to the downside there. So I'm thinking it should be a very, very interesting report for Netflix. And then you want to hear, obviously, the board. You know, they're going to get questions about he's going to find out about Greenland soon is I think what we just heard, or what they're talking about here in the chat. Let's go over to Adara, who's excited to tell us something about Donald.
CRML here, critical metal, is popping a little bit here, right near day's lows. U.S. President Donald Trump was just asked, how far are you willing to go to acquire Greenland? His entire answer, you'll find out. So we know that CRML is kind of part of that Greenland correlation play. They do have that Tanberries project in Greenland, so CRML, always a good stock to look at when you hear Greenland news. Again, Trump's response to how far he'll go to acquire Greenland are the 3 words, you'll find out. Back to you.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Like those stocks have been disappointing.
Markets stay low.
That CRML. But look, I got back, and someone has asked me if I liked SoFi. What was the other stock? I think it was SoFi versus CHYM. My simple answer is I don't like either stock at these prices, but I own SoFi. So I do prefer SoFi, but I'm not a buyer of the stock at these prices. But it has been trending since it broke trend when I jumped in. It's been trending down, and this one actually popped back into the trend line, so it was a reload. Now you're breaking into the. If you break this bottom at 25.5, I got to look somewhere in the opening range, 25.25 to 25.40. Like that's that next level into the downside, and. And ultimately, when something starts trending down like this, ideally, like that's what IBIT did. That's what you want to try to stick to if you can. Unfortunately, Jose Alvarado just said Oracle's under 181. This is actually, Oracle could break down on the daily. Like we talked about Dell earlier, having like a recent support low that could be breaking down. I mean, this is when the market's basically coming off highs. And this could lose that 176 as early as this week. And if you remember Dell this morning, yikes, and this is what we're talking about with Brian, like it lost the 115 level and just continues lower. So this is absolutely getting woodshedded today, down 7 points. You're not going to see much in Techland that's down 7 points because everything caught a pretty decent bounce. Like we were down a couple of points, and the things that were down 4 or 5% got bounces before this rush to the downside. Dell never did. Like there was no opportunity for you in Dell to catch a bid. It was just nasty pretty much all day. Like this just trended down. That's the one. It's stocks like these, you know, as opposed to like Intel may have eventually worked, but off the open, Dell was just a sell, and it never stopped being a sell. Like, you know, Bitcoin was a sell, it never stopped being a sell. Tom Lee's BMNR. This is an example. BMNR. Why is it not coming in my drop down? My drop down's not working. Isn't that weird? Yeah. Like this has been trend down, but it hasn't lost the bid. Well, yeah, you can short the pops on this. I've been waiting all day for this to actually fall apart a little bit more. I feel like BMNR, the reason why it didn't, because it was already down so much. So it was an outsized move relative to the rest of crypto. It was down 8%, and that's why it didn't actually lose. Here's a better example. It didn't even lose the bid from today. I still don't like this. Like I'm going to come in tomorrow, and it's like prove to me that all of these crypto plays aren't still shorts. Like I would come in thinking short an IBIT. I'm going to come in thinking breakdown in BMNR to fill a little bit of this gap. Not yet, BMNR, but your time is definitely coming. Doesn't look very good to me. Double top at 34. Confirmation day holding underneath last week's lows. Yeah, everything about that looks like it's still going to be a short tomorrow. But for now, the only reload was in SoFi on this trend line. And if it breaks the trend line, I'm not thinking long. It's 318. I don't know about the reversal play at all. And keep in mind, remember, when Walmart went into the index, the Nasdaq 100, sometimes we'll see like residual action all the crazy, we had monster volume obviously at the close on Friday. You might see some residual action at the close today on Walmart or AstraZeneca. Those were the 2 index changes. Not necessarily something to anticipate, but something we'll keep our eye on. Nothing really pointing out any crazy action at the close, although, I mean, Chewy's already $1 million to sell on the early look.
Oh, is it? Oh my God.
GDX is a 1.7 million sell. ETFs tend to not be that big of a deal. You got Enbridge, that's dual listed. I wouldn't care too much about that. And then TRP, 2.4 million. So nothing too crazy, but we did see that massive number for Walmart on Friday after it got added to the Nasdaq 100.
So with Trump talking and, you know, doing his own thing right around here now, yeah, it's going to be better off covering everything at some point. So we got a bunch of outs there at the low of the day, so that's not great. We just got like a huge bump up there. It went to 92. I'm going to try to short if that happens again. I didn't even have a short up here. Well worth it to take this sort of back and forth action here. But we're getting lighter and lighter. What's up to Charlie there in the chat? You are 100% right. I'll fire off the hot dog cannon for you, my friend, because you did call this move down in the futures. And I mean, just in case you guys were wondering, this is who's on deck tomorrow for earnings. Netflix, UAL, IBKR tonight. Tomorrow, J&J, Halliburton, Ally, Schwab coming in. And then if you're going to look, what's up, Charlie? Hope you're doing well. As I just mentioned right there, this is you and I, man. We on point right now. There's the short that we had written down here today. And, you know, we were short, everything short today. And pretty much all of my trades have been short. I don't think I have a long today. Short in AMD, you know, we were lost on it. So there's that. A Netflix, man, there's the short. Huge trade, but about to get stopped out, breaking through this. So like I said, this will be P&L1 for me. PLTR, short, all right? And then finally, the futures with the TQQ instrument, short as well. So yeah, so far so good on some of this. And yeah, no longs, man. I'm just trying to stick with that sort of thought for now. Could we get back into a long? Of course we can. But I mean, the market is, this was too bad. We got stopped out there, and again, have rules, right? And we got stopped once it broke 50. Could have used the 200 period. That's a rule of mine. Shoulda, coulda, woulda. Did not use that rule. But we didn't want this to continue to blow up. So take a little bit of money on this Palantir short right there, and then get out for flat when it comes back up. That was a trade of mine. DraftKings right now approaching some scanners. I don't really know if it's an active one or not. I'd actually talked about, I sold this, you know, in all this sort of mess up in here. I actually talked about trimming some positions in the old portfolio, just random ones that we had left over. And all of a sudden, DraftKings, I didn't buy down here. This is an older position. So in here somewhere over the last couple of weeks, sold some DraftKings. Now it's dripping down, of course, with the national game, championship game yesterday over with now. You know, the betting, as football only has 3 more games, that's going to come to a screeching halt for their website. Maybe golf, I think,
be worried.
Be popular.
I don't know if you saw the national, any of the highlights for the national championship.
No, I was watching a little bit of it, but I didn't watch too much. It went overtime, didn't it?
It was, yeah. There was a block.
We got out of
It was
Netflix.
the fourth quarter comeback, or
Right.
fourth quarter late incredible TD. But there was a blocked punt earlier in the game.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I'm not a tinfoil, but if I had money on Miami,
Yeah.
and I saw that blocked punt, the first guy tried to block the dude that came in. The second dude, you can't even say he just kind of guided him back toward the punter. You watch the replay, I'm like, I'm not sure what he was doing,
Yeah.
but he put up no effort, and the guy just walked past him. They didn't
It was
even
early in the game.
They weren't even trying a blocked punt. Like, it was literally like it wasn't even a blocked punt attempt.
Sort of like a missed assignment.
He just 2 guys just kind of let the dude go past, blocked the punt, and got a touchdown. Like, when you think about it, there's a lot of money out there on these games. It is what it is.
Yeah,
Like,
these kids make a lot of money, though. I mean, most.
Yeah,
of
but not some dude on special teams doesn't make a lot of money.
Not a lot, no.
At that. But I think we're going to go to Adair in a quick second. I just trailed out. We've been in IBIT the whole day, but once it couldn't break lower, and we just kind of took out this triple top. So I just trailed out of it. 8 minutes, and then we'll get probably some updates on the early looks. Let's go to the desk with Adair.
So to let you guys know here, U.S. President Donald Trump just teased what his Davos speech is going to be about, and he said it's basically going to be about the same things that he talked about today. So just recapping his first year and giving, in his opinion, the European countries, even the European countries, I guess some how-to tips for governance from U.S. President Trump. So again, that's certainly what his Davos speech is going to be about. I bring this up as well because that's going to be 8:30 a.m. Eastern tomorrow. You can find this whole World Economic Forum, or WEF Davos schedule here on X at TTV Research. I already released and previewed here for you guys part 1. Here is part 2. This covers 6:30 a.m. Eastern all the way to 12:30 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. And again, U.S. President Trump speaking apparently about the same things he said today at 8:30 a.m. tomorrow. You'll be able to catch that live on Trader TV. Back to you.
And thank you very much, Adair. Just for everyone that's asking, I put this in the chat, but we might not have said it. Netflix expected move is about 7.5%, like 7.7%. So that's what the options market is pricing in for the expectation of volatility. And then keep in mind, people are going to want to hear about the debt situation. The call is going to matter here today. You know, they moved to cash for the Warner Brothers deal, and you know, creating content isn't necessarily the cheapest endeavor out there. So certainly people are going to want to hear about the debt situation for Netflix. And Obi pointed this one out on Netflix. Like if you go out to just quickly, and we'll probably talk a lot about it. Obviously, it's the biggest earnings name tonight. So we're going to talk a lot about this. But if you look at this on like a really higher time frame, this broke the uptrend a couple months ago. So until we retest these low 80s, like all these little wick bottoms, like you're starting to get into that gap fill. And even if you lose that on a monthly chart, you've got 70 to contend with. I think the weekly probably shows you a bit of it doesn't look very bullish to buy in front of the 80s when you look at the monthly, but on the weekly chart, it does look a little bit more constructive because you've broken trend. And as Brian said, when a stock is trending down, you should be picky about where to get in. And if it depends on if you're trading and trying to time it, then you need to see something happen, maybe a trend break or some higher lows, like that kind of a thing. If you're just looking for a DCA to support and where to start, I think that's a bit of a different story. Because if you're looking at where am I adding in my long term, you know, I don't care about getting it exactly right. I just want to wait it out long enough that I don't feel terrible about where I've been buying the stock. And I feel like that's going to be the story. I'm not hoping it goes to the downside, but I do have a bid in front of $83 on this thing, which based on the expected move, if it goes down, that's getting triggered. Well, triggered to be a stop. It's getting filled is the way I should properly state that. Yeah. So, you know, 7.7%, that doesn't seem like a heck of a lot. But ultimately, when you consider how far it's fallen down going into the earnings, I still think that's a pretty decent move. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, no, I want to let everybody know that, you know, heading into earnings, as we're sort of talking about this, we got like now 20 minutes until those imbalances come through. We do have a little bit of a Netflix problem there. It broke higher, so we were able to stop out, which is completely fine. Out, and we just had a little piece left there. So yeah, we did wound up getting stopped out there on Netflix, so we'll just see where it goes from here. But all good on this trade, man, as we got stopped out there, and now it starts to fade out just a little bit. We've got a good win here on the futures, as that's near the low of the day and still going a little bit lower. But let's look for something else, right? I mean, we have lots of opportunities to trade here. It's not going to stop just because. So that's what we're doing. It's TQQs. That's it for me right now, waiting for the next little bit of a setup. What do you guys want us to do? CRML, right? So as Trump is out there sort of banging his drum here, talking all about Greenland, we did get another bump higher right there. Like, I can't believe you can just annex another country like this, but it looks like that is what's going to wind up happening. 17.50. That's the breakout level there. So an interesting game to play, I would say, with CRML. Like, I don't know where exactly the end game is going to be here, but it's been pretty choppy. This does remind me of silver when it was going back and forth, when you had like 4, 5, 6% days in a row. So that's going to be a really interesting name. And last week we got some Greenland specific plays that people had given us, like old tickers that were like GRLND or something like that. So silver, I think this looks like a great break. I don't think it's going to happen now, but 84.50. I mean, you know, gap higher right into this level. This is 84.50. So it's looking like a good support area right now, actually, rather than a break. But if you look at what's going on with silver, I still think it's a risk-on type of trade for silver, despite it being risk-off today in the market. There should be a flood into sort of precious metals, which we saw earlier today with gold and with silver, both ticking a little higher. I don't know if gold's given anything back again, but silver up 5, gold was up 3, still up 3. Copper was a good one. I like copper just because of, so COPEX is not pure play copper. This is the copper ETF. So 82 up 1.5%. So again, like that, sort of where we're going with copper. And then if you can look at the TLT, the Treasury today is going to be moving around as well because of sort of inflows out of the market, inflows out of the 20-year, down 1.2% right now. And I mean, you just started to break lower on this as well. You don't see too many gaps here on the TLT. So, you know, this T-bill note getting lower on the Treasury, getting lower there as well. And we have the dollar up on our screen right there, almost moving 1% today to the downside. So this is not like the greatest day for the U.S. stock market or, you know, U.S. dollar. We just saw the Treasuries downside there as well. As I don't think we're, you know, looking at World War III or anything, but down 2% is not great. The Nasdaq's hanging out. Down 2% on the ES.
It's not just down 2%.
You don't normally get that.
It's gapped down, and then at the open, you got the taco, whatever you want to call it. You got the taco buy.
Yeah.
And then you're ending right back at the lows. Like, it would be one thing if we were down 1% today, I'd actually consider that a good day because we opened up, I don't know, 1.8 or whatever the heck we were, and then you wouldn't be having this bleed. But like all of the stocks, I mean, the vast majority of the things that were stocks that were strong in the morning that were leading that charge back up, they've all reversed course, and now they look pretty nasty. We were talking about the memory names like a Micron. Like, that's only up 1% now. And of course, I'm going to jinx, and it's a jinx in this case would be a good thing because maybe this is going to break back toward VWAP. But early superhuman strength turns into a fallback. Like we already showed you SoFi. I mean, you can go Mag 7 land if you want. Like Meta tried to go, couldn't. We know how bad Apple has been. Like take something like Alphabet, which has been a rock star. Really? And I'm trying to give you praise, Alphabet, and then the chart doesn't want to load. No, it was been an absolute rock star. It was trending all morning long. It's not going to close at the low, but it's going to close pretty close to it. That's not what we've liked. That's not what we've been seeing a heck of a lot of on our, when you have this kind of a bull market, typically when we get the V-shaped recovery, kind of, you know, the gap down and then the retrace day, we're at least holding out some semblance in a high. Like how many times you watch the afternoon show and what we're discussing on a day like this is, oh, look for some reversions off of the highs. Because we caught that bounce and we're pulling back into maybe some prior resistance levels or breaking trend because we held that up move for most of the day. Not really. Like today was a day where if it was tricky shorting on the way up, it gave you every chance to get it back on just about everything, which is very, very different from what we're used to seeing. I said at 3:30 I would give a double check. Still the same names on the early look. Like I said, Chewy's going to be in there. Soxel might not have been there before, but it's only 1 million shares to buy. Got Enbridge still. Something that was not there, that was there before. Oh, it was GDX was there, and now it's not. So GDX was like 1.7 million, I believe, to the sell side. It's not even there anymore. So a bit of disappointment. But that's a place, and again, where if you're looking for where the strength might have been here, very strong day for the gold miners at least. Pull the daily chart back up. Fresh highs and holds on to all of those gains. Right, like this is like you gap up, well, the market gives it up and just pure consolidation. Like if I look over at like, if you look at like GLD, just, you know, obviously the miner is going to be a little bit different, but if you look at just GLD, very strong as well, though giving a little bit back. So gold, very good day for gold. I give it like a C day for silver because unlike those, like silver's actually trending down. Like I had a couple of spots where it worked alongside, but overall more trending down. So gold gets the win today.
All right, before we move on, we have to tell you about PDS Biotechnology. They're over there on the Nasdaq. It's symbol PDSB. They are transforming how immune system targets and fights cancer with initial focus on HPV-16 positive head and neck cancers. HPV-16 can cause head and neck cancer, and more people are facing these high-risk cancers than ever before. HPV-16 positive head and neck cancers are projected to become the most common type of head and neck cancer in the United States in just a few years. Please learn more at pdsbiotech.com. That's pdsbiotech.com to learn more and scan that QR code. Check the link in our description, obviously, for that very important shout out. And thank you to them for sponsoring our show. And, you know, you guys got to support our show tonight, man. We do have a earnings show ready for you at 4 o'clock. It'll be Brendo, myself, Neil, I believe Adara, all at these desks, man. It's going to be a new view. It's going to be everything you've wanted and more. So make sure you do join us. For everybody that's like, where'd the after show go? Join us today and support it and let us know that you want to watch. So that's going to be coming today at 4 p.m. when Netflix is expected to be out stat ASAP there at 4 p.m. So I exited. Netflix is going to be my P&L number 1 today, so that's good. No mistakes whatsoever there on Netflix. I mean, obviously, these shorts worked out pretty good. I mean, you would have liked to have been short early or even off VWAP right there, but just short into these levels, that worked. Like I got short here basically when we broke through 88.50. That was a good trade. And then it went back up, tried to mess around a little bit. We were pretty light, so we let it. So I actually, to be honest with you, I missed the break of the 200, so we actually get a better price than I thought, and then all the way to the downside, and now out of that symbol as we just wait for the market to continue to bleed down. So one stock that got absolutely clapped today that didn't really have any sort of a relief rally or whatever you want to call it, Amazon, although right now it's starting to get going, it went straight down from basically from noon all the way till 3 o'clock. So you had 3 hours of straight downside. You get one little bump there. Yes, Adara.
Totally, you guys know Trump finished his briefing. He has left the podium.
He's left the podium. Okay, so you could now get the market to maybe bounce a little bit back because, I mean, a lot of the talk here for Donald Trump and for the market has obviously been negative with respect to Greenland, tariff problems, things like that. So, you know, maybe if he's gone now, we can either resume regularly scheduled programming, which this Nasdaq has been nothing but downside, or maybe the other thought of it is, which is why we have stop orders, and which mine is right into here, about 25,180, would be, I mean, we said we'd see 25,000 today, which we were not quite there. We're at 25,1. Could be the fact that, okay, he's off the podium. Now let's just focus on earnings and let's focus on, you know, what the next couple of days could bring for us. But the Nasdaq down 2 and a bit percentage points here, and now that he's off, doesn't seem to be rallying any bit. This is not like you know, Powell has left the mic or anything. This is President Trump. He was just getting bombarded with the same kind of questions by the sounds of it. It doesn't look like he commented at all on the Netflix deal. That's kind of what I was waiting for. But okay, here we go, man. The market making a new one. We got the face slapper on right now. This is the only position we have on the show. This is short right now. The TQQs representing the Nasdaq. Down a little bit. We're going to see if we can take another 30 cents on a reloaded position. Our stop still remains the same, man. I'm going to wait for 51 to break. So if that hits, great. Other than that, that's the only trade I'm working with. A break of 51 gets me out. Any closer, we'll reload it. But yeah, Taco Tuesday today in Trump land.
Kind of tacos.
Kind of, yeah. They came with a little small little tortillas there.
The smallest tortilla of all time. It was. I was trying to show them on the midday when I did the lesson.
Yeah, it was really small.
But I had already finished it. It was so tiny. But it was still tasty. I really liked it. I got out of SoFi. I was sort of mentioning that into the chat, but you now double bottom. We got into the range, which is this opening range bottom here, 25.4 to 25.5, but it's starting to bounce a little bit with only about 20 minutes to go. This will be the one. It's just, I mean, IBIT worked as well because it was trend down, but this one, from the time it made the top, just very cleanly held the trend line, sort of allowing you to get back in multiple times, which worked, culminating in the end of the day here. And as I said, SoFi, I'm not much of a buyer of SoFi at these levels. Here, I'll pull up a weekly chart for SoFi. I just feel like if you're going to lose, like we've been consolidating up here. Like if you've liked it at 25 on the weekly, it's been, hey, scalp long off 25 to 30. I just feel like a breakdown and then a retest. I'm sitting in front of 22, and that's this level here. The 50 period on the weekly, it just feels like we have a little bit of a date with that on SoFi. So we'll exit that one. It was really about patience and sort of waiting for the market to come back in today to start the week off. It's a Tuesday, but to start the week off well, for sure. But the market's not starting the week off well. You know, ultimately, whether you're red or green, like it's
the opposite
your portfolio, unless you're like short biased, is certainly not liking the start to the week. But you know what? That's why we have earnings coming through. To potentially take the attention away from all this geopolitical stuff I mean, quarter after quarter, I feel like we've been having all these, it's like 80% of S&P 500 names are beating earnings and EPS expectations and blah, blah, blah. And if we get more of that coming back in, well, that could be exactly what the market ordered. And when you think about it, we're not really that far from the highs, everybody. Like, this is not, like 2% stinks, and it's not fun, and nobody likes it to see the ES and the Nasdaq down that much. But ultimately, you know, for a lot of names, it's a bit of a drop in the proverbial bucket.
I think this gentleman here, Jack B. Nimble, is correct. I think that this is just the beginning. If Trump does not back down from this rhetoric, I think, about Greenland and about these tariffs and everything, I think there's many more days very similar to what today is bringing. So definitely, if you guys are positioned heavily like I am in this market, you want to be careful a little bit here because, yeah, I'm pretty much full equity right now. I have put like maybe 5% in cash or something like how I didn't raise any last week. We talked about, well, some positions, yes, but nothing that significant. It's too bad that I stopped myself out of, actually, no, it's not, who cares? Palantir's not doing anything. All right, NVIDIA right now, I always go back to the well to look at some of these stocks. Yeah, NVIDIA, wow, down 4%. So you want to talk, like the last thing I bought with NVIDIA was 175, right? And so, yeah, we watch it go all the way to 210 or so, all the way back into right to where we bought it again. So, you know, have we seen these days before? Yes, we have. Have the darker days been upon us before? Yes, they have. So, you know, let's not hit the panic button right now, but if you have been stuck buying some of these tops, maybe a minute before you're able to get out. But, and again, someone just in the chat said this. I mean, this has generally been the key as the market really falling, man. We've got a great trade here on the Nasdaq. But Trump will save the market like he always does. I think that's what there's a lot of people hoping that, but hope is not a strategy. And
until it happens,
you know, until it happens. But I think that's right. I mean, the market is a sort of self-fulfilling prophecy. It's been hit before and been bought back up on different stories. So earnings are real strong right now. So the economy seems to be kicking it. If you take away all this sort of talk from the president and from his sort of side shows that have been happening.
Not talked enough was this like nuclear option that Europe is talking about, which could potentially target a lot of big cap U.S. tech companies, right? Like it would take a lot, but if there's no backing down, that's kind of a fight that nobody wants to see right now.
What was the nuclear option?
All of Europe.
Yeah.
Essentially, the EU, their response to this whole Greenland situation, if it were to escalate, like EU is going to take aim at a whole host of U.S. companies. In the same way that some kind of China and the U.S. do like the tit for tat thing, if the entire EU decides that they want to go that route, I mean, a lot has to happen. My guess is the only way that happens is if you get to this boiling point where like nothing gets settled, Trump doesn't back down, he pops the escalation on the EU tariffs.
Yeah, wow. That would be
months down the line. I think we'd still have. There's a lot that has to happen to get to that point, but you don't want to see a further deterioration, especially when you had like good relations with the U.S. and the U.K. and now that could be breaking down as well. You still have China. Now we also, when was the last time we even talked about what was going on with Venezuela? We haven't even mentioned that once today, which is crazy.
Yeah, I know. Venezuela has been, well, President Trump said he took out 50 million barrels so far out of Venezuela. So shout out to that.
Whatever happened to those crypto reserves?
Yeah, I don't know. The crypto reserve has gone bankrupt right there. So we'll wait to see what's going on. This is the Donald Trump ABTC, their American Bitcoin Corporation here for the Trumps, and you can see what's happened to this stock right here. Where's Eric at, man? Come on, Eric. Post another video about ABTC, American Bitcoin Trust. So this is the Trumps, and then DJT there again. They had Donald Trump's family's net worth out again. Family, it said 6.8 billion. So wow, for that. There's a huge move up in DJT. I was still waiting for this theme. Come on. There it is. I was still waiting for this name to get into $10 again because that was that sort of SPAC level. And oh boy, we got a nice spike off of that right there, off of $10. So I think you wait for DJT to come back in into 10, 10, 20 there. And there it goes again, man. We've got it, man. The face slapper is on right now as the futures, man. We just took some more fills down here, getting lighter and lighter on this position, but we still have about a third. So this is really holding the day for me right now, for myself and for the net, as the futures and the TQQs continue to go lower here, man. I don't know, down 2.2%. I said earlier we could go down 3%. That was in the morning time. Let's see if that's true here, as the market really trying to bleed downside now. And still a long time to go, man. Still 18 minutes. We got 18 minutes left. We'll see what happens to this market. We said we don't like them when the market closes on its lows. Looks like it's doing it one more time here today. Bad, 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 man. This is really starting to come in. Scared for tomorrow. I don't care about Netflix earnings as far as the market is concerned, but just worried that not much has changed, and if in fact maybe things have gotten worse, as Trump just said, let's see what's next. That's not a good thing to say. So we'll see what's next for this market. I think lower tomorrow.
And for Adam James abroad, the CRVS party does continue, and it is at the highs. So the market gives it all back after trending up most of the morning. This hasn't given back a dime unless you bought it, I don't know, like 3 minutes ago at the absolute top. You pretty much can't be out of the money on CRVS. So congratulations for all those. And that's where we're tuning in this morning. There wasn't a heck of a lot that was gapping up, that was kind of giving you everything you wanted, holding the gap up, which was trending higher above the volume weighted average price with a it's not even a bad daily chart either. That's the thing that really stood out with this. So I think it was a phase, what was the deal with this one? It was like a phase one for Corvus, like a phase one trial for some kind of like a dermatology drug, I believe was the case. Not that it really matters when you're trading it, but I mean, ultimately, some people might want to hang on to this thing. Do keep in mind, we saw this in particular with lottery.com today, what happens if an offering gets dropped and how nasty it can be. So I don't know that that's going to be the case with CRVS. Who knows? But again, no one ever went broke taking profits. Have an idea of having stop orders in there. I think that can certainly help you for sure. I'm not doing anything until the imbalances come in. As I said, enough of a battle here today to be able to get back to green. Like the market gave you that chance, but yeah, as crazy as it was, I feel like this is one of those like got away with it kind of days. Because there were a couple of stocks that did trend down for most of the day, but there was enough of like Intel would be a good example of it. Like there were enough of the, like take your shot at a key level, doesn't work, take your shot at a key level, doesn't work, take your shot at a key level, doesn't work, and then it kind of double tops there, get one move to VWAP. It's like the 1.4, it gets me flat. I mean, basically exactly flat on Intel. But there were better opportunities out there, like SoFi when it made the top, but you had to wait for it. Like that's the difference. Like SoFi, like waiting. We always talk about patience, but sometimes you're waiting for the move to give you the press, fill in the gap, get to the prior close, and then trend back in. And that's what you want to look for. Outside of that action of the first 30 minutes, I always feel when we have a headline like we did, and you're down 2%, and there's so much going on in the morning, it's very easy to be less patient because there's so much volatility. Like that volatility is opportunity, but oftentimes, when you're thinking short in a day that the market's that far gap to the downside, you almost have to let that relief come in a little bit there and be patient about that. But CRVS, great one in there, Adam. We'll be curious to see how this does tomorrow. Can't remember the last time one of these had a very productive day too. But if you can even just consolidate, that would be good for this.
Yeah, just trying to review like what some of the top trades were for me today, and try to find out like how we can, replicate this tomorrow. And I think that once the market decided that it was underneath VWAP pretty confidently there, this could have been bigger. The market coming to the downside. I mean, it's still good, but the market coming to the downside, we could have maybe done a little bit of something different there. Okay, just quickly with only 4 minutes now, adjust stop order time, right? So 50.80 on that break. Let's get that going, because our stop before was 51.06. So this is the only position we have left. So 50.81 or so. Let's go to 86. We could get a little bit of a blow higher here into these imbalances. So we'll watch out to see if there is any sort of a bigger move over there for that one. Other than that, man, no other stop orders out, nothing else going on. Netflix is going to report tonight, should be a good number. We do have, you can see in the background, we're getting set up with Brendo, Adara as well. What we're looking for here is 55 cents on the EPS side of things, revenue of $11.97 billion. we'll see, man. Last time they beat on both sides, the top and the bottom line for Netflix. And just looking at a daily chart, because our system won't have it very good here because of the split, but here's the chart for, the continuous chart for Netflix. And as you can see, it has had obviously a little bit of a rough time, you know, going since this whole Warner Brothers talk. But, you know, their quarterback in October was good. We sort of gapped higher, was right into here. And then I think this is October 21st. I'm going to have to find the date of their last report, but that's when we sort of topped out, got into these lows now. So what a nice move there from $125 down to $88. We'll see what Netflix has to say. Remember, they had Stranger Things. They had K-pop Demon Hunter. They had a good quarter, I feel like. They had Stranger Things in the theaters. They also had K-pop over there, and they had a couple good sporting events as well. So I think Netflix should show an increase in revenue, but I don't know. So we'll get that all figured out very, very soon. Now you can put up whatever.
Easy peasy again, stays consistent. Easy peasy dropping the contribution 1.2%. Resistance style long. Short 2.2K.
Yeah, I actually saw the chat. He was saying it's supposed to be my picture on there. So he says he goes long and short, similar to me. So
go both directions.
Yeah, going both ways there. That's so good call on that one.
Long today?
No, I didn't. I think he must have gone long. So yeah, I don't know. Here's another one. What's up, David? All right, so he's got on here. Okay, so puts into 20. So that's December of 26. You got a long time away here. $600. Oh, QQQ puts to 600. Okay, they're up 4.5% today. Yeah, not too risky, right? So if you're going to go out that far, if those dates are correct, you're talking about the third Friday in December. So you're talking 300 days from now, a $600 put. So yeah, that's looking like that might be a call for sure, especially if this market continues to bleed down. That's another way, David, to play, right, is to go really extremely long dated. So that is a good call there. And if you think that this is going to be, I've already said this, I think this year will be a very trying year for Mag 7. And yeah, I like that call, David. I think you're onto something there. You've got, as Kramer would say, horse sense. So I like that call a lot. All right, so let's go. Here we are now moments away until those imbalances start to hit. We'll sort it by size there. And then for right now, we have our broker. So I'm going to make sure to get rid of all these, get it ready to go. That we just see the NYSE, Nasdaq, and the Amex. So right into there. So now we're going to get ready to go. BMNR with a little bit of a sell. We now have 15 seconds. I think a stock that could have obviously a lot of action on it. We've seen NVIDIA the last couple of days had multiple millions of shares on this. So here we go with only 5 seconds left. We're still in the futures. Let me take a quick little fill right now on the TQs as we take some out into this. Nice move down right now. So we are now out on this. BMY is a sell. We're just sort of sorting this all out as you can quickly see. There's NVIDIA, only 1 million shares to sell, so not really hitting the market that much on 180 million shares. Nasdaq and Amazon also with downside there as well. So yeah, it looks like there's a little bit of a downside push. TLT, we're not going to look over there. Yeah, NVIDIA's getting bigger to the sell side right now. So we'll wait to see at 355 if there's any sort of flipping happening right there, but right now it's NVIDIA to the sell side.
Yeah, NVIDIA downside. Chewy's 1 million to the sell side. I haven't even looked at that stock in quite some time, but does it really move on this? No, it actually bounces a little bit to the upside there. So Chewy, despite that 1 million sell, I don't know, it's down a couple points today, so that could be a little bit of it as well. We did talk about what's going to happen with Netflix, but as a reminder, as we swing around to throw you to what's going to be the return of, I suppose it's actually the return of the aftermarket show. Netflix is expected out at 4. So we are expecting this to be pretty much right away. So we're going to have all of the movement and live reaction. We'll get the numbers as fast as possible. As usual, we'll be able to look at this one live. It has managed to hold a 4-day bid down here on Netflix, so it's into some support. The expected move is 7.7%. There's this, there's Interactive Brokers as well, IBKR, and then UAL, United, is going to be the other one. Oh, Top VoIP, great point. As I just mentioned, UAL. Yeah, you know what? We didn't talk about how bad things have been today. Well, here's 2 stocks that have been absolutely breakouts and bangers. One of them is Boeing. Boeing breaking high of the day as we speak on the press to $250. And there's been a lot of chatter about I don't know why Micron made the rundown in the afternoon over SNDK. One name was flat, and the other one was almost up 10%. Another all-time high for SNDK, giving a little bit back at the end of the day, but I mean, come on, like what more can you ask for this membership stock? This has been an absolute runner for sure. Salmain in the chat, is Netflix a buy going into earnings? I'm not touching it with a 10-foot pole. I mean, there are those who, you know, I'm just going to keep it on this chart. There are those who love to like make shots before earnings. I'm more of a react after or keep the bigger time frame. Here on the weekly, I just think the support's down here in the low 80s next. And then on the monthly chart, like it's in a downward trend. Like technically, that's what's happening with it. So if you think that this is getting overdone to the downside, you know, first test of support is in those 80s, and then the next one somewhere down here at like 65 to 70. Like in the long term, like I'm not uncomfortable with those prices in the long term. It was a great bounce for the long, anywhere on the trend where you got it. Like I was happy that I sold all my Disney and then putting it into Netflix. But at some point, I expect this to turn around. But it's a precipitous downward trend. I want to see signs of that breaking before it's like pile into it. But I do have a stink bid, which has been sitting there for a while in front of 83. Could get filled this afternoon. 7.7%. That's not a lot. You're only talking about like that's like a $6 move or a $7 move from here, which could easily take you into that 80.
I think you'll get that.
If we get that, then to me, I'm getting filled, right? I should double.
I think you will.
I know it's still in there.
I think you will get that filled today.
I think stink bid. And whenever I say that, it's basically on a long-term basis a bid that is very unlikely to fill, you know, that week based on price. So if I'll put that in when it's over $100. Like it's a very low probability of hitting. But I've found that if I don't do that and I'm DCAing into a stock on the year, it'll get down close to that price and it might wick it or some nonsense. I didn't have an order out and I'm like kicking myself or whatever, for whatever reason, I might be not looking at the market that day. So I'm looking to grab that one if we can. But we'll see. I do like the stink bids out there if I'm DCAing, that's for sure.
Okay, we just got a nice fill down there on the market. The market is going to go out at the lows. So here we go, man. Join us all, 4 of us, Brendan, myself, Neil, and Adara, for this brand new after hours show. So get ready for that. Very excited to talk all about earnings and review. So please, guys, stay tuned for it. Let us know what you think of this feedback and give us some feedback. 350, 355 coming in. I'm going to take out one more piece right now and then see what winds up happening. There we go. We'll get it. Oh, we did not get it. There we go. We get a 55 now and waiting for these imbalances to come through and see if there's any sort of a flip action happening. I don't know why that keeps on resorting, but there, oh, NVIDIA got bigger NVIDIA got way bigger to the sell side right there, 2 million. Now Apple flips over to a buy, but there goes NVIDIA bleeding downside right now, creating some crazy action on NVIDIA. Apple, whoops. This is why it is very, very worth, paying attention to what we're talking about with these imbalances, because you never know which way these stocks are going to go. BMNR with a bid there at the end of the day. A lot of volume on this stock as well. BAC catches a buy, probably not much. Oh, there's Netflix. Netflix with a big sell. Wow. There it goes, man. Netflix with a nice sell into the close right here. So is this sort of a little bit of a look at what to expect, man? Netflix right here, 1.6 million shares to the sell side. So someone saying, get me the heck out of this name before earnings. So we're going to have to wait to see what's going on with Netflix. A big sell order just hit the tape. I didn't see it before. And as you can see, whoosh, downside right there. It's 8:56 right now. We're messing around with the lighting. We're going to get that exactly the way we like that for you guys into this brand new show that we have ready for you in just a matter of 4 minutes. It's Netflix earnings. They're on tap and on deck right now. So it should be a good one. And then we continue with more earnings into this week, into next week. And on that note, let's go over, hey, it's been a minute since you've seen this guy at this time.
Yeah.
It's Brendan and Adara over at the big desk. I don't hear him, but I guess we don't need to.
This is going to be on screen. We'll update this as we get data to go along with it. So we're going to bring you exactly what the numbers are before.
Apparently there's mic issues right now, unfortunately. So sorry about that. I'm going to take over for a bit. We're going to let you guys know here what to expect. Again, Netflix earnings preview revenue We're expecting $11.97 billion, EPS 55 cents. Now, last quarter, we did have revenue exactly in line with estimates. EPS was a miss as well, but we'll go back to Brendan here.
Yeah, it was my fault. It was not their fault. So all good. Yeah, so take two. We're going to have everything up on screen. We're going to give the guys a couple seconds here just to get turned around and comfortable in their brand new homes, and we'll bring you everything as it happens. Ms. Adara is going to keep her eyes glued as far as the numbers when they come out. We should get this right away, almost instantaneously. So right at 4 o'clock here. So we'll bring you what is expected and what is the actual numbers as they come out. One of the interesting data points that I was reading just before I came over here this afternoon is the net subs add a little bit below where everyone was expecting it to be. So one of the key metrics that everyone pays a lot of attention to with this is the net subs add number for Netflix, around 11 to 14 million. That was the range, which is below last year's blowout, but still ahead of some prior expectations that we were getting going into this quarter. So the first of many. What was jumping off the page for you as far as what to expect here for Netflix?
I think this ad revenue, like we had Greg Peters, co-CEO, saying that apparently they more than doubled, to use his terms, their ad revenue last year, or they're expecting to more than double they're expecting to more than double their revenue for this year versus what they did last year. They also said last quarter was their best quarter ever. But again, they're not really giving us numbers on this. They're just kind of giving us estimates or things to expect. So we're going to have to wait and see what happens there. That fiscal 2025 revenue growth, pretty good here, a little bit higher than estimates. But yeah, I think if they can do anything better than that double miss or one in line, one miss with that Brazil charge last quarter, it'll be a good look.
Yeah, about 2 minutes ago here before we should get data coming through. Again, the guys are going to join us for the first time. Mr. Ramin is working on a shot here for them, but for the first time on the in-desk, as we call it, to discuss some of these numbers and how the actual stock reacts. So we'll bring in the numbers with Dara. We'll talk a little bit about what is happening as far as the market is concerned. I mean, Netflix is absolutely tanking as we speak. Heavy selling coming into the close here as far as the market is concerned as well. But guys, if we have them ready, why don't we give them a view of what Neil and Sean look like on the other side of the desk whenever you have that shot, if we do. Oh, they're just adjusting the lights. There we go. There they are. So we have the ability now to, I mean, maybe we need a wide shot of this as well. We have the ability now to actually look at each other. So we're basically sitting in more of a circle that we can have a discussion, guys, and talk a little bit about what is happening as far as the market is concerned. Absolutely tanking here, as I said, into the close. There it is. The market is closed. Again, Daryl will keep her eye out for the actual numbers as they come through. The stock itself, absolutely tanking here, though.
I don't like that action. There into the close. I mean, Netflix went all the way down into $87 there. And now we did have that imbalance, that sell imbalance. So let's see, now we're kicking up to $87.50 right now. And here it goes back up 88. So we're just getting a little bit of a relief rally right now on Netflix. So wait to see, Neil, where this name goes from here.
Yeah, that's the thing. We were expecting things right away at 4 o'clock, but you start to trickle in. But you do like the fact that the first thing was a buy. Keep in mind, though, because it's sold off going into the earnings, like any kind of risk off would be an initial pop. Remember, that first move that you see on any earnings name is not indicative of how it's going to go. You want to see the top and the bottom lines. You want to see guidance. I think it's going to matter a heck of a lot what they say on the call later on this evening, especially with regards to the Warner Brothers deal. That's going to be a big one as the numbers start to come in here for
so
Netflix.
Something's happened.
Yeah, now we're bouncing really heavily here into 88, looking to potentially break out that top range. But even as I say that, we're right back to the bottom.
Yeah, it just looks like it just came out there. 76 cents versus 55. Adair's going to parse through these numbers, but there goes Netflix right now, down 2%, 86 and change. Neil, where's your stink bid at? That might 83.
$83, and you know that it's always 22 cents.
Right. Okay.
Always 22 cents.
We're coming into that right now. We did also get a report from UAL as well. So United Air is out, but it's Netflix is what you guys want. UAL looks like it's going to the upside right now, and you just let us know, Adair. Come in when you have that report yet. I'm hearing 76 cents versus 55 cents right now for Netflix, but 88, here it goes, $88, $89. We just touched out to $88.50. So yeah, we can go over to you, Adair. What do you have over there?
Careful here if I'm only seeing stuff on X, but one thing I am seeing, apparently Netflix guiding 2026 revenue between 50.7 billion and 51.7 billion. That's going to be mostly above estimates here of $50.96 billion. So again, low end 50.7 billion, high end 51.7 billion. Estimate here was just below 51 billion. So that's mostly going to be above estimates.
All right. Overall, Neil, you mentioned the call. It's worth noting 4:45 for the call, so we're not going to have to wait too long as far as getting some comments here, but a little bit of follow through, guys, for the stock here.
Oh, I'd say a little bit of follow through to the downside for sure. And again, I think the call, you're going to have to assuage some fears is the wrong word, but I mean, anytime you have a cash deal and you already are incurring some debt, that's going to be a big theme. When we get to the call at 4:45, you're still breaking lower. The expected move was 7.7% to the downside. So there's still some room for this to go. And we've dropped a couple of dollars here, but it's not. Oh, there we go. Now
Lows
pop
again.
into 85. It just broke the low one more time. But if we talk about where this could be headed, I mean, ultimately, this 85 is just a bit of a drop in the bucket. I still am thinking about those low 80s, that 83 zone, because when you start to look at the higher time frame picture, this is not that big of a move to the downside. I know red is red, but when it's significantly less than the expected move, then ultimately the only people that make money are the ones selling options in a play like this. And unless you're kind of trying to scalp this, which I can't imagine why you would be, not much of a win here because it wasn't that big of a move yet. Yet is the keyword.
Yeah, I mean, still at this $86 mark. So why don't you ready for this, Adair? Do you want to go over some of the numbers? Okay, so let's throw it over to Adair and we'll talk about all these numbers right now. Netflix down 2.5%.
So I'm seeing a couple different things here. Looks like we did have Q4, again, EPS, I'm seeing both 56 and 76 cents, but either way, that's going to be above estimates here of 43 cents. So like year-over-year improvement, revenue, 12.05 billion, above estimates of $11.97 billion. Profitability, again, yeah, the EPS looks like it is 56 cents is overall what I'm seeing here. So just be cautious there. EPS outlook, that's probably where people are getting confused. The EPS outlook here, 76 cents. They're guiding, that's below estimates of 81 cents for Q1 2026. Q1 operating margin outlook, 32.1%. That is below estimates of 34%. Operating margin outlook for 2026, 31.5%. They are expecting higher operating income growth in the second half of 2026 versus the first half of 2026. Apparently, users and engagement side of things, paid memberships crossing 325 million during the quarter. Ad revenue outlook roughly double for 2026, so kind of in line with what we saw for this year, for 2025. Free cash flow outlook roughly $11 billion for 2026. There is a one-time item once again for NFLX this quarter. Q4 net income included roughly $60 million in costs related to the Warner Brothers related bridge loan and associated financing.
Surprisingly little, though, on that. I was just parsing through one release here as well. I don't see even a comment, guys, as far as the Warner Brothers deal is concerned outside of that. So, I mean, I think a lot of people are maybe looking for some sort of directional move. Or maybe a statement or some sort of comments on the actual Warner Brothers deal.
Yeah, I just feel like you're going to have to, I guess we're waiting for the call on that. I think that's probably the only way to think about it at this point. Like that's where we're going to be able to see some of it. I mean, look, I like it's a big beat on the free cash flow. So that's a positive. You wouldn't know it by the reaction of the stock, but I kind of feel like that's pretty good. That could mitigate some of the concerns about the cost of this deal. But I think I don't want to lose sight of the fact that there was this overhang on the stock is if they were going to raise their bid, which I know when you go to all cash, okay, fine, that does have a little bit of extra financing concerns, but I mean, ultimately, they didn't end up raising their price, so they're going to get it at the price they want. I'm talking about Warner Brothers here at that $27.75, but it's not catching a bid for any of these metrics. So I think this falls squarely in it's bad, it could be worse, but ultimately we haven't had that complete capitulatory bottom. We're not looking at double digits to the downside here with Netflix. And as I said, I think if that does happen, it'll be because something gets said on the call, which doesn't really assuage our debt concerns here with Netflix. But I really do like that free cash flow number. Pretty big beat there, 187 versus 146.
We actually have, just quickly here, we have another name, IBKR, Interactive Brokers right here, 65 cents beats 59, as well as sales beating, but IBKR did tick down to $66 right now. They're just down 4+% as IBKR on the daily right here, trying to hold on to the 69er level. We'll see if it does wind up breaking it, but there goes Netflix. And I don't see, like, it's a top beat, it's a bottom beat here. It's 56 versus 55, it's 12 versus 11.9, but Netflix getting hit down another 5% here today after hours. So it was actually pretty flat heading into this print, and then downside. We did see that big seller come through at the end of the day on the imbalance locator, and there you go, Netflix down to the downside right now. So it looks like we'll get Interactive Brokers downside, we get Netflix downside as well. So Brendan, not a great start here to the week. We'll see if we do get some of those fills on Netflix, looking a lot lower right now.
Yeah, one of guys to the upside here, they're not all bad. UAL, not a huge move, but airlines have been decently strong over the past couple of weeks here. UAL Q4 results just out as well. 310 versus 292. EPS guidance $1 to $1.50, which was higher. Full year 26 EPS seen at $12 to $14. So again, not a huge move as far as the stock is concerned, but UAL to the upside. Netflix numbers actually on screen there now for everyone to have a look at as well.
For UAL, I mean, it's down today like 3 points, but at least it's not moving any further. But that's not going to be the bigger story. I mean, obviously, we're going to be more concerned with what's happening and the free fall that we're seeing in Netflix here this afternoon. I have mixed feelings about it because, like, on the one end, like, I know I was saying, yeah, we're gonna get the fill on the dip buy, and it's like, okay, so it's not like we're not getting the bigger expected move. It did finally tag 83, so like that'll have gotten actually filled. But at the same time, like, there's that part of me that, like, as you go up and down that report, like you did there, Sean, it's like, okay, but there really wasn't too much bad or negative that you can sink your teeth into. So you're gonna care about what the reaction to the market is gonna be tomorrow. Here? Like, are there going to be some dip buyers that start to emerge at these levels? Or are we just going to have a continued fall through? Because I felt like, this is a stock which had already been beaten up going into this. Like we're like, what, 30-something% off of some of the highs?
Yeah, even more.
Again, I point to that cash flow looking pretty good. I mean, ultimately, it seems like we know where this deal is going to go. I feel like the only reason they don't get the deal done is going to be because of the president, and he hasn't really come out and said too much anything recently to negate this Warner Brothers deal that I'm aware of. So
it's 445, or 445, I believe, is the call. So, but here's a Netflix chart. So right now we're at $83. So if we're looking at a daily chart, you mentioned how far it had gotten hit, man. Its high was 134, guys. Now you're all the way down to 88, or sorry, that's where we closed. We're down right now to $83. So this is that very bottom that we're looking at right now, 83. So that's coming in to play right now, 82.66, if you're going to be exact. And there goes Netflix right now. Thanks, eSignal, for those charts. But there it goes, breaking through $83 right now. So here we go, man, down again now, and I think it was down about 1%, so down about 5+% right now for Netflix, as there it is, Netflix crossed 325 million paid memberships right there, so that's exceeding growth as well. Operating margin 31.5% on Netflix, but that cannot get out of its own way. IBKR, just real quickly, have a check on that. Not really moving. It did make a move down. I wanted to see if Robinhood, a secondary play, had anything on that, and we know that SoFi as well, often talked about by many of you. SoFi not moving. How is this affecting Brendan and Adair and Neil, everybody, the broader market? Not at all. So the Qs right now kind of just chilling out, waiting for something to do, not really being a huge part of Netflix story. I think it's a couple percentage points in the Nasdaq is Netflix, if that. So, definitely not like it used to be, that's for sure.
325 was the sub number?
That's what I see there. Paid memberships during Q4.
Okay, got it. So they were looking for 11 to 14 on the upside, 317 on the last number. So there or thereabouts, I guess, possibly a little bit weak on that number as well.
Yeah, we're just looking here. It also says growth in H1 and H2 looks to be more positive. Ad revenue as well to roughly double with operating margins of 31.5%.
There's another thing. I mean, pausing buybacks to fund the Warner Brothers deal.
Oh, is that what they're doing? Yeah.
Is another headline that we can drop out of there. So look, we like stock buybacks. I mean, who does? If you own a stock, you like stock buybacks.
Yeah,
I think in a
course.
situation where you start to tell us if we didn't like, if the market didn't like the deal for Netflix to begin with, now that they're having to fund it by pausing some buybacks, that could be a little bit of a negative.
Yep.
We'll see. Like, I'm not going to make any determination. Like, as far as I'm concerned, I've DCA'd twice into this thing. I'd buy 2 more times this year, and that's about it. I don't think there's anything here yet that makes me want to double down at this level. And that last, I like the cash. I liked the cash beat, but the pausing of the buyback gives you a little bit. The buybacks gives you a little bit of pause here.
Yeah, I would think that you know. That's why we like a stock like Apple. That's why we like stocks like Google's and all that to have these big share buybacks, and a pause definitely hurting right now. You're at the lows, so you're at 82.60 right now. We have a written low of 82.60. We're at 82.90. Just made brand new lows there for Netflix. A quick little check on Brendan's UAL, as he mentioned it before, 110 and change. Not much action going on there. And then we can see. Let's just check out some of these other plays. Is Disney moving at all on this? No, it doesn't look like it. Big spread on Disney, over $1 spread right there. But Netflix says in 2026, here's a headline, they'll expand their offering to licensed titles starting this month. So live action films, new U.S. licensed partnership with Universal. So we'll see. I'm not sure. Oops, that's Netflix. Didn't show up there. Sorry. .NQ right there. So $83. So I don't know what properties Universal has if they're going to start to license, but apparently that's going to start here in 2026. So we'll see if there's anything going on there.
Typically, it's during the quarterly earnings reports that we get the, oh, by the way, the prices are going up again. Haven't seen that. Again, maybe we'll have to wait for the earnings call. If anyone's sticking around for that, again, it's going to be 4:45. We're not going to be sticking around for that, but feel free to have a listen at your leisure, again, to the earnings call. But prices almost on a yearly basis, I believe, for the past 3 to 5 have gone up in this country. To a point where I mean, I got rid of Netflix more than a year ago. Do you guys even know at this point what you're paying?
I feel bad answering this way because
I don't know.
Responsibility in terms of what you're paying for things each month. I have a very good idea of what my personal, or what my family's budget is. But I have no idea what I'm paying for Netflix. I'm just being dead honest about it. That's one of the reasons I like it. And to that point, I would almost say it'd be nice if they did raise prices, because if some people like myself and maybe others aren't as concerned, if I was, maybe it is what it is. I'm just not. But I think a lot of people might be in that. But the fact that they've had success with the ad tier, I think bodes well for them. There's been significant growth there, so they can probably get away with maybe some bumps of the no ad would make some sense to me. I'd almost like to hear that as someone who just flat out doesn't even check it at this point. But
I got to be honest, I have the ad tier essentially of Amazon Prime. I mean, we have Amazon Prime just for the delivery service. But the ad tier of Amazon Prime, the video service, in my opinion, is completely unwatchable. It's unwatchable. It's 2.5 minutes.
It's mostly ads.
Of ads every time they come on with ads. It's essentially TV. Yeah. I don't know how much it is.
I would argue worse than TV,
I don't
actually.
know if you know, like, how much is it to get rid of those?
I just have it for delivery, much like you said. Like, I was trying to watch, like, what the recent day we had off a while ago. It was American Thanksgiving. I was trying to watch Law & Order, and I was like, I would rather do this a sketchy way than have to watch these ads, because it's like, I think you're right. A lot of people probably aren't getting Prime for the Prime Video, and then again, you wonder how many people are actually paying to get the ads off. I find the Netflix ad experience to be less invasive, though I no longer currently have Netflix, so take that how you will.
Is it one of those things, though, where they have to get to a point where they space those out a little bit more, make it a little bit more effortless?
Shorter and spaced out would be better. Also, the placement of the ads I find in Amazon is really, really bad. Like, I also use Tubi, which is totally free, all ads, and yet Tubi, I find, is really good at placing them in a way where it does not disrupt your viewing experience. Amazon, you just get angry waiting for these ads to end. So, like, they need to work on something.
One of the best things I did last year was went to YouTube Premium and got rid of ads on YouTube, because that was getting to a point where it was out of control as well. But I don't know, do you guys watch the ad tier of Netflix?
I do. First of all, I got YouTube Premium, and a lot of it had to do with my daughter spends all her time on YouTube relative to all of the others. But that being said, I'll give one slightly different perspective to the ad tiers. And this is my experience. I'm only talking about my almost 9-year-old daughter. When an ad comes on, and we're doing family movie night, and an ad comes on Amazon, she loves it. Because the notion of a commercial, like what?
Novel.
It's like, Daddy, this is what you were talking about when you were a kid. I'm like, yeah, this is more along the lines of you have a longer pause. She's used to the short, brief things on YouTube that she used to get, and this whole idea that, oh, you get to watch this ad and that ad, and I don't wonder if maybe they're just trying to feel out how far they can go with it. So like, if I'm Amazon doesn't care whether they make money on their streaming. Netflix has to make money, ultimately speaking.
Yeah.
Amazon doesn't care if they make money, so they could just be pushing the limits of how aggressive they can be with it just to figure it out, which I would be all on board with.
One of those stocks where I don't think anyone had Netflix on their list for picks this year, correct me?
I think Obi said he almost wanted to short it, but then he didn't end up putting on his list. So
Obi will be Obi. Is there a level, though, guys? The next obvious topic here, is there a level, though, that we get to on Netflix, Sean, that, it starts to look a little more attractive?
Yeah, I mean, I think we just hit it, to be honest with you there, Brendan. I mean, I think we just might have, we talked about it here. Let me call up a daily chart. I was trying to show a 900 period on this chart here because just to get back in, but we just touched out to 82.50 right there, and that's literally where we bounced. So we actually mentioned to you that the low was 82.66, and that is almost what we just hit right now. We got to 82.60. So that looks like we might have been in for something there at these levels, but I think I would rather wait. I mean, you're now getting almost a perfect storm here on Netflix where you're down now that 5%. The implied move was what, 7 and a bit? So right now Netflix is falling back in. An interesting thing that I think has changed for Netflix too is the password sharing, Now they're going to get a little less views now because of all that password sharing nonsense. So that they've cleaned that up a little bit. And I agree with you. I would honestly rather just pay whatever to avoid all of those ads. I'm not, by the time I'm sitting down watching Netflix, man, it's like 9 or 10 at night. I'm like no more patience.
No time.
Yeah, no time. Like get those ads out of there. I'll pay $1 a day or whatever it is. I think our Netflix is like $30. I think after we've added because my parents also are part of it.
Right.
I think we add another $7 or $8 to the parents.
Okay. But you have, like you're saying, you're sharing though.
But my kids have it in their room. They have we have these projectors. They have those set up. Yeah. They have it on their phones for when we're traveling and all things like that. So
it's a must when you're traveling. I mean,
I don't know, man. What is $30 a month? Honestly, I'm not trying to sound super rich. Believe me, if you had all my money, you probably would, burn yours or whatever. I don't have any money.
It only adds up if you have them all.
Right.
I think that's what's boiling down to. I think some of the exhaustion points are going to come down to, well, if you happen to also do some really good stuff. I love Apple TV. I'm never getting rid of that. They have some ridiculously good science fiction shows on there, which I'm the only one in my family that watches it. Everybody watches Netflix in my family. Everybody watches.
I wonder if Netflix needs to include something else because we have Apple TV, but it's all wrapped up. So for $50 a month, we get Apple Music for 5 people. We get Apple TV for 5 people. You get the 2 terabytes of data storage. Netflix could maybe do that. Maybe they could offer some of their subscribers a gateway to more storage or I don't know. Weren't they dealing with Netflix gaming?
I don't think the gaming's really picked up as much as it could have either for them. It's just, I see it there every single time. My daughter has never once even said, oh, there's an interesting game here. She completely ignores it. But they are doing something right. They've turned the corner. They're making money. It's just a little bit of disappointment.
It's a massive, massive business. It's 325 million global subscribers. 325 million. Global subscribers. Just real quick on Nike here. I just pulled it up. It's not really doing anything on this, but Nike just announcing leadership changes across key regions with new VP GM appointments for Europe and Greater China alongside the retirement of Carl Grabert and the planned departure of Angela Dong as well from that region specifically. So executive change up, it looks like, for Nike. It's down a little bit, but nothing significant here for NKE. But just on Netflix, I mean, is there something that we can point to? Is there something? There was rumors going back to last year, I remember, at one point that they were going to start poaching some podcasts and trying to get more podcast-type content on that platform. Is there something that you guys, would point to and say, yeah, if they did that, I mean, live sports, obviously more live sports would be I think, top of that list for a lot of people.
Oh, you just answered the question. I mean, like, it's okay, fine. Like, if you get into the podcast thing, you're just further understanding and competing with YouTube, realizing that really YouTube is a big part of your competition. Actually, oddly enough, the whole YouTube thing, that's part of why, to me, any antitrust concerns with this Warner Brothers deal, I get it. Warner Brothers has a big catalog and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But get out of here when you talk about the level of competition these guys have just with Alphabet alone and YouTube and the juggernaut that they are. There's plenty of competition. Like, it's just, it's old head thinking that there's too much of an antitrust concern with this deal. But that being said, it's live sports. It's what you said there. We're big sports fans. For sure. They've already had some good content there. They've got to expand. You see all of these deals, Apple TVs, Amazon, they're all going into live sports and going in there in a big way. And you've got to start talking about some of the big, I want to see NFL games there.
Yeah.
I want to see college sports there.
They have NFL games.
No, but I'm talking about expansion. Not,
Oh, yeah.
You know, they don't have any. I'm a MLB guy. I want to see some MLB on there as well, like as much as they can to make sure they're competing with these other platforms that don't have to be profitable.
Which is going to be key. Derry, you have an interesting graphic there.
Yeah, I just updated this really quickly here. I posted a version of this before the earnings, but here's the updated one for Q4 2025. A look at Netflix revenue by region. I mean, probably not super surprising here. We do have this United States, Canada, North America here with the largest chunk here, $5.34 billion of Netflix's streaming revenue. Second year is EMEA. Then we've got Latin America, and then the Asia Pacific, basically tied here for third or fourth place. And when you come to growth, it's pretty interesting. We have US and EMEA revenue both up 18% year over year. Latin America growing the slowest, but APAC up 17% year over year. So all of these growing fairly steadily. Lowest growth here, again, LAT or LATAM, that's going to be 15% year over year growth. Again, brand new, just worked on this right now with the brand new earnings data. You can find it on X at TTV Research.
So given that, you know, is there a specific type of content that we need to look at then and say maybe they need to be doing more so of that in that region, you know, to get a little bit of a better jump?
I know at least one LATAM show that they stopped that was like a massive thing for them. It had a huge cult following. It was called Lite. This was like a Spanish show that ran, I think, from 2018 to 2025. They did multiple seasons here. They had like cable girls. Like, I think their telenovela-esque content was at one point really strong. The fact that that growth is slowing makes me wonder, have they made less of it? I don't know. I mean, I know their Asian content has always been pretty good, European content pretty strong, but maybe you guys need to find another good telenovela-esque show, because as someone who watched some of that content, Netflix was doing it very well.
Oh, my wife as well. The pullback continues though, guys. We're right back to aftermarket lows anyways, 82.50 here for Netflix.
They actually have a bunch of anime right now, like a bunch of it. Like, my kid is all over that, man. They have like, all
big time
10,000 episodes, honestly, of One Piece. They have everything, like so many different things that my kid is watching. Like, he watches Netflix more than anybody else. And I just saw right here, they do have the World Baseball Classic coming up. That's going to be in Japan. And then it looks like they're trying to expand into video podcasting. So that should be interesting if they could do that. Maybe they can pull over a Rogan or something. I have no idea. And then they talked about their cloud-first video gaming. So these are some angles there. But if that's all that it is, maybe it's not enough as the stock goes right back to day's lows.
Yeah, at least it's holding this bottom. I'll give it that much. But I want to throw up the super chat because obviously, as you guys know, this is a new and improved sort of look for everybody. I think it looks fantastic, and I want to shout out to Vizbot, who loves the aftermarket show. It's a blast, but the Nasdaq is still a disaster. I feel like that's a little bit overstated. I know we came in down 2%. We end up on the lows, and Netflix is going to leave a bit of a sour taste in your mouth to start out some of the bigger earnings names that are coming through. But 2% is not a disaster. We've been down this road before, and we've had all this turmoil before, and we've certainly seen the president turn things around with a single comment.
For the Nasdaq?
The Nasdaq in general, not Netflix. I mean, Netflix is going to do what it's going to do. It's not a big constituent or anything anymore.
I think the Nasdaq the Nasdaq can turn around tomorrow.
Exactly.
I mean,
not a disaster.
I'm not too worried about that, but we are glad that everybody is enjoying this after show, and you guys left some comments even about the screens behind us. They had no idea about not that screen too. But
that's a big screen, yes. But
just they're talking about the screens, right into there. All these screens that me and Neil and I have, And that's what we use on the show, so make sure you do join us every single day. Brendan, does this mean that because we're going late here tomorrow, I can sleep in tomorrow? We're still going at 8 a.m. or what?
Absolutely not. You have to be here at 8 o'clock.
Tried.
I was going to
Tried.
mention something I totally forgot.
Haha.
It'll come to me. It'll come to me.
Oh, yeah. So on that note, let's just review a couple other
Buy the
names.
dip. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, buy the dip. Yeah.
Let's talk about what we do tomorrow here, because yes, I think not only the Nasdaq, but I mean the S&P and the Dow, I think have been the leaders going into 2026 here. A much needed pullback. I was looking at a daily chart of everything just before I came over here, and it was getting to a point where we were kind of flat. We were just chopping around at the highs, not really doing anything. So a much needed pullback, giving a lot of people, I think, an opportunity, maybe if they don't like buying highs, to dip their toe in a little bit at some point, including now Netflix. Not a great way to kick off tech, if you will. It's kind of tech. Earnings season going into Thursday, then we'll get Intel, and then a whole bunch more next week that we'll talk about later in the week. But what do we do tomorrow here, guys, with Netflix thoughts?
Well, we went right to the level that I was kind of looking for that support, and we've double tapped it at 83. So the old double tap, at least so far, is held. At this point, without a reaction on the earnings call, imagine a world in which nothing gets said about WBD and we're still at 83 and we're holding this level tomorrow, then I'd be inclined to come in and just look for that as first support. Right. But the call does matter to me. Ultimately, I feel like I want to hear them say something about stopping the buybacks to fund the deal, and then just tell me that once this deal is done, we expect to initiate those right back.
Oh, they'd have to put them back.
I think that's kind of like, if you don't specifically say that on the call, I think the market would probably not like that. Yeah. So that would make me a little bit negative, but I want to hear them say that specifically, and then I feel better about this level, which for now is holding.
Look, Netflix to start, before we even went down this hole here, we was down 1.1% to begin with. So now you're down 5.7. So this move is only 4%. Yeah. We've seen much more dramatic moves than this. I'd like to see actually a key level of $80, just psychologically, see if that can wind up holding. That would put us down about that 7%, which was what was implied. So I do think that Netflix tomorrow should be an interesting trade. It's going to be expensive to do it with options, obviously, if you haven't looked at that yet. But look, content, we talk about that. If they can close this Warner Brothers deal, I think that this is something that we'll look back at and say maybe this was a buy the dip situation, and nothing wrong. We talked about the theory of if you liked it at $95, hopefully you bought 25 shares. Hopefully you bought 25 more shares maybe today, and now you're getting an opportunity to add to that position right here to open up your 100-share position. So that's what you do, you dollar cost average, and it's very risky to buy anything into earnings.
Yes.
We have no idea. They actually beat on the top and bottom line. So let's wait for that call. 445 is imminent.
Yeah, one of the things I was really keen on, and we'll look for this when it does come, again, 445, as Sean was mentioning for the earnings call, is what about redundancies? There's going to be a lot of redundancies if they bring in Warner Brothers, which is essentially a studio. Netflix already has their own studio, a state-of-the-art one at that. What do they do with not only the people involved in that, what do they do with the technology involved in that? Is there cost savings that are going to come along from that? So, I mean, I don't know if they'll mention it yet.
Not yet, because it's not done. The deal's not done yet. But look, this is the not fun thing to say. But everyone's going to be saying the same thing. There's going to be some efficiencies with job cuts. Yeah. And there's going to be some increased pricing power.
That's why you do deals like this.
That's why you do the deals, and it's not nice because people end up losing jobs, and ultimately, and some people might have to pay more if they do raise some prices. But that is ultimately going to be a good thing for Netflix when they push the deal through. And on top of that, the other good positive is now you can watch The Wire on Netflix when they get the deal done.
Okay, I'm down with that.
Jared, do you want to just run through the numbers here real quick to just wrap things up, and we'll give everyone a recap before we head out. But we'll wrap it up at that, guys. If you liked it, obviously hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't. We do this for any and all big earnings reports. So we'll be back on Thursday for Intel this week, and then there's a whole bunch more next week and the week after that. So come back for those. Ms. Adara, give us the numbers here.
Let's do this. I'll give you guys some of my insight as well, because I actually read through the official report on their website. So revenue, 2.05 billion, sorry, $12.05 billion, just above estimates of roughly $12 billion, and up 18% year over year. EPS 56 cents, beating the estimates of 55 cents by a hair. Operating income, $2.96 billion. That's up year over year, but down on a sequential basis. Operating margin, 24.5%. Apparently up year over year, but down on a sequential basis. Free cash flow is going to be way better than expected and up 36% year over year at $1.87 billion. Guidance, guys, is where we really have some issues. EPS guide for Q1 26, 76 cents, below estimates of 81 cents. Revenue guiding $12.16 billion. Below estimates of $12.2 billion. Operating income, they're guiding $3.91 billion. That's going to miss estimates of $4.18 billion. Operating margin 32.1%, below estimates of 34.4%. And that operating margin guidance I've seen by a lot of people to be kind of attributed to some of this weakness. They are guiding, I mean, the top end of their guidance does beat estimates here for revenue for the fiscal year, but that operating margin going to be a problem for the fiscal year as well.
Just seeing as well, again, the call scheduled for 4:45, but just seeing Netflix says its ad revenue specifically could roughly double in full year 2026 from last full year, I guess. So Q4, the numbers we were just talking about here. Again, Netflix saying its ad revenue could roughly double in full year 2026 versus 2025. So will we be up, down, sideways? Who knows, coming in here tomorrow. But guys, leave a comment below. What do you want to see more of? That's what I want to hear. What do you want to see more of in these shows specifically?
I want to see more Sharif and Joe and all that. I'm getting tired over here. Oh, that's a good look. Look at this look.
I didn't even know we were using this shot. I love
Ramin
it.
is really, no, I think it's the first time for that. Right now, Ramin's
these
just
right.
running around here like crazy. But no, thanks, Brendan. Yeah, I think it was a great show. And, you know, you think this was a good one. We had one basic company reporting today. Yeah. Wait till it starts coming next week. We're going to have Google, Microsoft, all these names coming even at the same day. I think we're going to lose our mind over here. We're going to work on the setup. We're going to get bigger and better doing this, get more comfortable. Well, this is my first time on camera.
No, one thing that'd be really cool, we have multiple names, we can sort of, it'll be easy to narrow down, like one person can look at one, be focused on that, and it's easy conversational. That's the first thing I love about this, is I feel like it's really easy for us to have a real proper conversation with everybody, and that's exactly what we're looking for.
The whole thing about this Netflix is like, will Netflix be around in 5 years? Yes, I mean, I think this will. I think this is just going to be one of those little drops in the bucket here, and you know, streaming is the way of the future, if not here right now. So Netflix, the largest streamer in the world, I think continues. I think they have better content than many of the other. You talked about Apple, how you like it. I would say let's stay patient with this Netflix trade and join us tomorrow morning, and we'll see what happens with the extension of this move.
Yeah, and how much of this, guys, this move down we're seeing in Netflix right now is, in fact, just overall follow-through from the day. You know, this was a pretty negative day, really no sign of anything positive coming in the next couple of days. So as the guys were saying, we'll see where we are at in the morning. Thank you, Adara, for everything, as always. We'll wrap it up at that, guys. Thanks for joining for the inaugural earnings show. We'll be back again on Thursday with this. Until tomorrow morning, join us at 8 o'clock. Thank you, guys. Cheers.